So we got a lot of fantastic guests coming up on Talking Sopranos, and this week it's the Pine Barrens episode. Our guest for the Pine Barrens is Steve Buscemi, but that's just the beginning, folks.
Coming up, we're going to have Annabella Sciorra, who played Gloria Trillo on the show. And we're going to kick off season 4 with Federico Castelluccio.
Oh, yeah.
We also will have as guests Jerry Adler, who played Hesh, Oksana Lada, who played Irina, Tony's Gumar, Peter Bogdanovich, who directed an episode and also played Elliot Kupferberg. He's coming on the show. Plus, we'll have a lot more actors, directors, and production folks who made the show great. But most importantly, the man who made it all happen will join us. David Chase is coming on the show, and we have a lot of questions for him.
It's an amazing lineup. I did know that. Believe it or not, okay. I do know what goes on a little bit. It's an amazing lineup, so keep listening or watching Talking Sopranos on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Big episode today.
Oh, yeah. It's the guy. We got the guy here.
And this is one of the most beloved episodes of television, period.
It might be the greatest 1 hour of TV, absolutely, positively.
It's up there.
Ever.
That's for sure.
Ever. You know, but not just that. I mean, he's had an incredible career. He also acted on the show. The only person I guess Peter Bogdanovich acted and directed.
Peter acted and directed, right? But Steve did a couple of.
I think he did 5
episodes. Yes.
5 episodes, and he also was in. He had that. I don't know what season was that. Season 5, I think.
Tony Blundetto
played Tony Soprano's cousin.
Tony B. He starred in many incredible, iconic, classic motion pictures: Fargo, The Big Lebowski, Reservoir Dogs, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink. Directed his own films. Trees Lounge was his first film.
You were in that. Were you in that?
I was in that. That film inspired David to hire Sheila Jaffe, Georgianne Walken, because he was so impressed with the casting of that film. So big influence on The Sopranos, even before he was on The Sopranos. And nominated for 8 Emmys, 2 for The Sopranos. Nominated for director for the Pine Barrens, supporting actor. He's one of our great actor directors, man, and we're very happy to have him here. Please welcome Steve Buscemi.
There he is. What a build-up. That was a good intro.
Wow. It's all downhill from here. Jeez.
It's all downhill.
Thanks, guys.
How you been, pal? You look good. How you been? Everything's good.
Well, yeah.
We're hanging in, we're hanging in there.
Can't complain. Yeah.
We I don't know have you seen the podcast? I don't know if you've had a time.
Yes, I was watching a few of them. You did it with Johnny and David Proval, and
we had Johnny.
I saw another one.
We've had Alan Coulter. We've had everybody slowly. Everyone who made this show so great, and you were such a big part of it. So little by little, we're having everyone on. People seem to be really enjoying it, and they've been dying to. We've got so many requests to have you on. So thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
Yeah, great, man. I think I met you the first time on the set of In the Soup.
That's right.
That's the first time Debbie Mazar invited me over to the set.
We were doing a scene, Seymour and I with Lizzie Bracco,
right,
and with Debbie Mazar, and you came to visit. And of course, I knew who you were, and I had seen you in Goodfellas. So I was really excited to meet you. And
what year was that? What year did you shoot that?
We shot it, I think, in like 91.
91, right. Wow. Yeah, it must have been 91. And I guess
by the way,
the first time I met Seymour, too, probably.
Time. But didn't you work with, had you worked with Seymour before that? On
Handgun, I think, was after that.
After?
So yeah. I don't know. It's a little fuzzy, but I don't think I knew Seymour. It was Handgun was after.
But you also mentioned Sheila Jaffe and Georgianne Walken, casting Trees Lounge, but they also cast In the Soup.
Wow.
So that's how I got to know them, was through Alex Rockwell's films. Yeah.
That was a great film. And Sam Rockwell's in that. No relation to Alex, right?
Yeah.
And I actually thought when I saw the movie, I saw In the Soup at Sundance. It was Reservoir Dogs and In the Soup that year.
We were both there, yeah.
I was there that year.
Yeah.
I didn't have a movie there, but I was there. But when I saw In the Soup, I thought Sam was an autistic guy that they got to do. And then when I met him, not long after that, I was in shock.
Yeah, no, he's amazing in the film.
Yeah.
It's a great cast. Yeah.
It's a great cast and a great film. And that was some year, for Sundance, for you and especially. I mean, Jesus. I saw Reservoir Dogs. It was like a midnight screening, and Quentin introduced it, and we were all just like, what the? And I auditioned for Reservoir Dogs.
I remember. We saw each other because I remember seeing you. You were before me, and I was like,
Yeah. And Harvey was in there reading with people or something.
Yeah. No, I remember.
It's pretty wild.
Hey, Steve, so you were born in Brooklyn, but you were raised in Long Island, or did you grow up in Brooklyn?
Yeah, East New York. My dad grew up in East New York, my mom in Bay Ridge, and then we lived in East New York till I was about 8, and then we moved to Long Island, Valley Stream.
And you wind up becoming a fireman for 4 years, right?
Did that because my dad was a sanitation worker, and so he knew all about civil service tests, and he made me and my brothers take whatever test was available when we were 18.
Yeah, I took everything also.
Yeah.
But you were already acting though, right?
Yeah.
I was already acting, and it was interesting hearing you and Johnny V talk about Lee Strasberg, because I also went to the Lee Strasberg Institute in like 1978.
And he was still alive then, Strasberg.
He was. I sat in on a couple of his classes, and he could be pretty stern. But I studied mostly with his son, John Strasberg. And then at the time, John was married to this actress. At the time, her name was Ellen Strasberg. She took his name, but then she became Sabra Jones. And then they were my two main acting teachers on and off for a few years. Yeah.
Did you go to college? You went right to acting school?
I went to Nassau Community College for 1 semester and dropped out. And luckily, my dad had a best friend when he was growing up. His name was Peter Miller in East New York, and he became an actor. And we used to call him Uncle Pete because he was close with our family. He was in Robert Altman's first film, The Delinquents. He did a lot of TV and movies, and then he quit the business. But it was somebody that I knew in the business. And my dad was like, well, if you want to be an actor, you should go to acting classes like Pete did. And Pete went to the neighborhood playhouse, and my dad, he took me there. And for some reason that didn't work out. But then I did the interview for the Strasberg. And, basically, if you have the money to I did like a full-time program. I went for like 6 months, 4 classes a week, and movement class. And
well, it obviously worked for you. I mean, right? I mean,
you know what? I was so young. I didn't know anything. Half the classes I would sit there and just be like scared.
That's how I was.
I was just so intimidated. I was like,
me too.
What am I doing here?
Me too, man.
I don't belong here.
I know.
It took a while, and then I started to get the courage up to do some scenes and got some encouragement from teachers and from other. But my real training came a little bit later in the 80s when I was living in the East Village and working with Mark Boone Jr. a lot. And
in the performance art world, really, kind of, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because my wife, Jo Andres, she was very strong in that whole performance scene, and so was Boone. And I kind of fell in while I was still on the fire department, and so I was doing both. It was a crazy time, but it was great,
What were some of the venues you guys were doing back then?
Well, there was a place called 8BC. That was
I love that place.
Between B and C. There was a small club in the basement of an apartment by this guy, a friend named Gary Ray, called Jarinka. PS 122, Club 57, which was on St. Mark's, I think, between first and second. I mean, none of these places are around, but these places just would pop up, and they just offered these great venues, and people were experimenting, and there was a whole mix between, like dancers and performance artists and bands, and the people were making Super 8 films and 16 millimeter films, like
Amos Poe and people
Jarmusch
like that.
and Amos Poe, Sarah Driver, Betty Gordon. Yeah, it was like such a rich time. Yeah.
And was your first movie Parting Glances? Was that your first film?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was the first movie I did that was released, but I did 2 independent films before that. The first one I did was called The Way It Is. Boone was in that. So was Rocket's Red Glare. I don't know if you remember Rockets.
I remember Rockets, of course. Yeah.
And it was a film by Eric Mitchell, and it was black and white. We shot it without sound. We had to dub in, the sound later. I did another movie by this filmmaker, Liza Bear. But again, these films didn't come out until after Parting Glances. So that is essentially like the first film I did that was released.
Who was the director of that?
That was a big deal. Bill Sherwood.
Bill Sherwood, yeah. It's a great indie for those of you who haven't seen it. And it was a very important indie at the time. It was one of the first films that addressed the AIDS crisis, I believe, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. At that time, I don't know that there was a character on film who had AIDS. An Early Frost came out before that. Aidan Quinn.
Ben Gazzara.
And Ben Gazzara and Jenna Rollins.
Yeah.
God, all 3 of them were so great in that film. And that was a TV film. And that got a lot of attention. And it probably helped our film too. And but yeah, our film was basically about, just a gay couple living on the Upper West Side and what their life was like. And I played one of the friends who had AIDS, and it was, not about coming out or, it was just a regular story, and it was important, and it was cool.
And but Steve, you did all this while you still were a fireman. Did you get any heat from the guys in the firehouse?
Pardon the pun there.
I know, yeah.
Which I didn't mean that. I actually didn't mean that. But I mean, were they like, Ray, yeah, you're going to be an actor, you're going to be famous someday? Did you take some shit or no?
Absolutely. They, like when I first got on the job, I didn't even tell anybody that I had any designs on acting, because I knew that they would just pounce on me. And I was like the quietest guy in the firehouse. And then one day it kind of leaked out because there was another firefighter who was an actor named Dean Tulipaine. He worked in the house Engine 24 in the village. And I met him one day, and he beat it out of me. He sussed it out because he knew I lived in the East Village. He goes, if you live in the East Village, you got to be something. What are you, a writer? A dancer? What? Actor? And I was like, yeah, I'm an actor, And he got me involved in his theater company at Westbeth, and he was so instrumental in helping me along. Sadly, he died in a motorcycle accident in, I think it was 1984. But yeah, he was just a great friend. But yes, to your question, the guys gave me shit.
I would imagine.
But they were also very supportive. They would come to the plays I did, and they were a great audience. And but when I told them that I was going to leave the fire department, like leave the job, then they really thought I was crazy. They all tried to talk me to stay.
What are you going to do? You're going out there. You'll never make it, is what they told you.
Yeah, well, they were worried about me. They loved me.
But you still stayed involved, right? I mean, after 9/11, you were down there on the pile, and I know you go back periodically, and you do a lot of charity stuff.
After 9/11, the next day, I went back to Engine 55 where I worked, and I met one of the firefighters there, and he drove me in. And I found the guys, like a lot of the guys that I used to work with, and then went down to the firehouse every day and rode in with them for like a week. And ever since then, I've been very close to them and do a lot of events. And I'm there every 9/11. I go to the firehouse for their breakfast and their lunch, and there's a mass.
How was that? That was down in Little Italy. Is that where you?
Yeah, on Broome Street between Mott and Elizabeth. Yeah.
And so we'll fast forward, and I know you've done a ton of work, of course, with the Coen brothers and I mean, who haven't you worked with? But how did The Sopranos come apart? How'd that come about? I mean, David called you. You know, David, I had seen in an interview, he thought he could never get you. He thought it was a ridiculous thought to even think that you would direct it.
That's funny. I don't know why. I mean, and equally, I thought I wouldn't be right for the show because before that I never played. You know, I mean, I've played a lot of bad guys, but I never played a wise guy or like a mob guy. You know, so I'm only Italian on my dad's side. You know, like my mom is Irish, English, Dutch. You know, so I have blue eyes. I'm pale. I didn't think I fit in that world.
Or you're saying you're not a fat, sweaty, greasy Italian guy? Is that what you mean?
Well, in my heart, I am.
You're more of you're a Wonder Bread wop, Steve. You're a Wonder Bread.
Yeah. But David had, I guess he was interested in me having direct, in the first season, but I wasn't available. And to be honest, I was, before I saw the show, when I just heard about the premise, I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, after seeing Goodfellas, I thought, who can do this any better than that? And of course, David put his own spin on it. And, and of course, when I finally watched the first season, I remember Sheila Jaffe and I, we would call each other like every Monday, and just rave about the show. We would just talk for like an hour just about, like how great it was. And then, but at that time, then I was directing a film and I had some other stuff. And so I really wasn't available to direct until the third season.
Had you directed TV by then or just only features?
I directed one episode. After I did Trees Lounge, I directed an episode of Homicide, Life on the Street. You remember that show?
Yeah, that's a good show.
Richard
but
Belzer.
Actually, I did direct a couple of episodes of Oz.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's when I first worked with Edie. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had done a little bit of TV, but not a lot, and not a lot of film. I had, by the time I directed Pine Barrens, I had directed a couple of TV things and a couple of films.
But Steve, when they asked you when David or whoever asked you to direct, at that point, did they ask you to be on the show as an actor? Or, no, you were just a director at that point.
Yeah.
That was season 3. Your Pine Barrens was your first.
Season 3, and it was like episode 11, I think.
Yeah, later on, much later on. I mean, and then later on it came, they asked you if you wanted I think it's season 5 you came on as Tony Blundetto, right? Yeah, I came on and
they hired me for 2 seasons, so I thought I would do 2 seasons. So I was really, I was shocked and disappointed that I only made it through 1 season, but I know that's just the show. It's like when it's your time to go.
But you didn't have to read, right? Did you read? You didn't have to read.
No.
You're one of the few. You're probably maybe the only person. One of the few, or maybe the only person, certainly that we've spoke to, that didn't have to read. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Tony B was a very interesting character. He was very specific. Yeah. He had a lot, he was the whole massage therapy thing. He was,
hey, Michael, I was going to ask you, how's the Sopranos Wellness Center? Massage therapist, Tony B's massage. Come on.
Tony B's massage. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, we got to think about this, Steve.
All right.
We got to really.
Right. If you're in, Steve, we're in.
But I was excited to play this character who was not only like a new mob guy coming on the scene. He actually had a history, like with Chrissy and with Tony, and like he grew up with them, and he went away, and he could have been one of them, had he not, had that one job where Tony didn't show up because he had a panic attack, and Tony B got arrested and kind of took the fall. Had such wonderful background information to it. And one of my favorite scenes is when we're having the steak dinner when we're upstate, because
At Uncle Pat's.
At Uncle Pat's, and Chrissy and Tony B had to dig up the remains of somebody, from long ago.
Oh yeah.
And Tony comes up just to see how we're doing. He takes us out for a steak dinner, and then we fall into this pattern where we're just like goofing on Christopher, and it's relentless. And you could see
it's like they're kids again. It's like Christopher's 8
it's like
and they're 12
kids again, and you're the little kid at the table that we're just gonna fucking just get it.
And it was some really funny stuff and dynamics. But what I loved about Tony B, like, he was really trying to kind of get it all together. Like, and he went away. It was really hard. Now he's back, and he's really trying to, like, he's got.
But the key to that character for me was the fact that he was an ex-convict. And I had done the second movie I directed was Animal Factory, a prison movie that was written by Eddie Bunker, who's like, he's such a great writer and just knows that world. Danny Trejo was in it, and he was a
Mickey
producer.
Rourke, right? Was it Mickey
Rourke was in it. But they talked to me a lot about, like, how you sort of acclimate, yourself in prison, how you survive. And of course, the longer you're there, like when you're out, it's hard. It's hard to adjust. And with Tony B, even though he wanted to go straight, he didn't want to fall back into that life. And he had this other thing going, but then he sabotages himself, really. He kind of, as hard as he worked toward getting his own place, he blows it in like one afternoon. And then he has no choice but to work for Tony.
And he still had his Miami Vice 1980s clothes, the white suit rolled up.
I know.
Remember we had the party for him at Vesuvio, right? It's coming out,
right?
Coming home party. That was great. And then of course Pine Barrens, which which is just like we talked about, probably if not the best.
That
hour
was
of TV.
The greatest gift that, like fell into my lap that, I mean, here's the thing. Tim Van Patten was the one who kind of came up with the genesis of that story,
Right.
And it was just about, like two of the guys getting lost in the woods, and it would be like a short episode. And then of course, Terry Winter he just ran with it, and it became this like, this great story. And then it fell to me, like it was my turn to direct. But, I mean, I also wonder, like, what would Tim have done with that episode? John Patterson and Alan Coulter, because these guys I just loved. And so I just felt so incredibly lucky that I was the one to get it.
And all the directors are great. All those guys you mentioned, and they're phenomenal. The one thing you have over and I'm going to be really honest about this. You out of everyone were the best dealing with, for me as an actor, because and I'm sure it's because you're a great actor and you understand that approach. Because there were things that you gave me in all the episodes, but that one I remember specifically, notes and ideas of approaching the character that I didn't think of. Because that was season 3. I've done a lot of episodes as this guy,
right.
You get into a pattern, you get into a mindset, you know what to do. And you were able to shift me and inspire me to make choices that I wouldn't have. And you really know how to do that.
It wasn't supposed to snow, right, Steve? So that was like a gift that we got. I remember
that was another gift because, we had scouted that, those parks, and we, settled on Harriman State Park, and then it was right up against the holidays. So we had like 10 days off, and then we all said, well, it's winter. Like, what if it snows? Like what if we get and we were kind of worried about it. Either if it just snowed a little bit and then it melted, because we knew we were going to be there for 4 days, but luckily we got dumped on. And it really helped. And then they just kind of rewrote some of the dialogue, which was one of some of my favorite lines was when, Chrissy is saying like, how do we get out of here? And Paulie Wallen says, hey, 4 years in the Army, kid, We just follow our footsteps, you know? And that makes sense. But then, of course, you still get lost, and now you're walking over the footprints, and now you really can't. Yeah, it was great.
Right.
It was a lot of fun when we shot that. I mean, we stayed at West Point, and then we went out that night, and you were singing "I Want to Be Sedated." I don't know if you remember that. I was driving, and I had you, Michael, Jim, somebody else. Sirico stayed behind. Went to sleep. You were in the car. I was driving. Then we went to this club, bar, whatever. We stayed out later than we should have. You were singing with the band.
Yeah, there was some. Yeah, and a lot of cadets. This was like West Point. And they partied harder than anybody.
And I said, I gotta go. I gotta get up early. And I left Michael and Jim there. I think you went home. You had a direct. The next morning was ugly.
I'm sure it was. Sirico.
Steve, I got to ask you a question, because people ask me this. They hear the story that, you know, the scene where Tony, you know, goes over to Junior's house because he's going to go pick up the guys in the woods, and then you come in, you know, and you're dressed like Elmer Fudd, and Tony Soprano starts laughing, and you wanted to surprise him. Right. And what did you do that really made him laugh?
I didn't even tell you. I had the big dildo, and I turned the corner with a big giant dildo. I asked the prop guy, you know, I said, "You got anything? What could you do?" And I told Michael he had all sizes and shapes. It was, I think, Anthony DeMeo. He had all sizes and shapes, and I picked out this giant one, and I was twirling it. I didn't tell you. I didn't tell anyone. I just went out there. That's with. You could almost see Dominic cracking a smile. And I figured, let me not ask you, because I don't know what you would say, yes or no. But because Jim had said to me, he saw the Elmer Fudd outfit the day before. We were up there for 4 days or whatever. And he said, "You're going to have to make me laugh." So 7 a.m, we shot that. And that's what he's laughing at, this big 3-foot Italian bread looking dildo.
And they had it on the prop truck.
Had it on the prop truck.
Of course.
Had all
Always
kinds.
prepared.
You never know when you might need it. You know?
You never know. And now it's in the Museum of TV and Radio. It's in the Soprano section. They have that there with Steve's outfit in Elmer Fudd.
You know, the episode, which I just actually watched again last night, and I haven't seen it. You know, we haven't seen any of these episodes. It's all new to us. I don't know if you have.
Since they aired, I haven't seen it.
No, I have, but I just watched the Pine Barrens episode again a few nights ago.
It really is incredible. I mean, there's everything in there. Just everything. It's funny. I mean, Michael's terrific. Sirico, you pulled an incredible performance out of Tony. Not that he's not always great.
No, he's wonderful. But the thing is, you know, Michael, you and Tony, you know, like, we're so great together, and you never played it for laughs. You know, you never let on that you thought this was funny. You know, it was we really believe you guys, you know, might die in those woods. And it was so funny, you know, especially when you're like tearing the ketchup and the relish, you know, mix it with the relish. It's good. It's like, both of you guys are so serious.
And it was freezing.
It was freezing.
It really was freezing. That's the thing I thought when I watched it again. I was like, oh my God.
It was freezing.
Had you guys out there like running and like, you know.
I mean, I could barely speak. It was so cold. When we get there at night with the flashlight, I mean, it was like 9 degrees, 8 degrees. Yeah. I mean, it was
freezing.
Yeah. But Sirico was the coldest, of course. Like he was talking to the four of us like we weren't there.
Like we were.
You know how cold it was? You know how cold? Freezing. I said, I was right next to you. You don't remember that?
Do you remember, you know, so some of those scenes we did shoot on the soundstage.
In the van.
In the van, yeah. But do you remember Tony got sick that morning and they had to take him to the hospital, and we had we're like, well, what are we going to shoot?
Right.
We didn't really. And the scene, Steve, with you and Jimmy, when you guys are in the car driving up, that scene was almost cut out, and it kept getting moved on the schedule. Like, we don't have time to do this. It just kept getting moved and moved.
Yeah.
And there was talk about cutting it. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to lose that. I was like, I guess we don't need it, and the only reason that we really got to shoot it because Tony got sick that morning, and then we had to scramble. And we shot. I mean, when you look at that scene, it looks like you guys are driving.
Yeah. It was the joke, the bear left joke.
The bear left joke. I love that. He just kind of looks at you, but you could see he's like, all right, this guy's all right.
But we saw, they were rocking, the SUV, and it looks very much like we're on the highway.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We shot.
I should say Phil Abraham did such an amazing job. The cinematographer. He directed an episode too, but he just was, like that's what I really depended on. Like Michael, you said, like that's like my approach to directing is through the acting, and I sometimes have trouble like visualizing how we're going to do it. But Phil Abraham was just like, and he had a cast on his leg. He had like,
that's right.
He had broken his leg or something. And he's trudging through the snow.
He's coming on soon. Let me ask you something, Steve. There's the scene where, what's his name? The Russian, he runs off.
Yeah. Valerie
runs off, and he was great.
Oh my God.
Played a great role. And Paulie and Christopher are talking, he's gone. They think they got him. And then you see that shot from overhead. And is Valerie in the tree at that point?
I know that was really kind of a mistake on my part. It wasn't meant to be a POV of Valerie.
No? Okay. Because that's what, that's what I think. I'm saying this guy, he's a Russian Green Beret. Maybe he climbed
I know. I think it kind of works as that. And I talked about it with David Chase. He says, that shot you did from overhead, it makes people think that, and I said, I know, but you're the one who kept it in. Like you kept it in the show. He goes, I know, it was a good shot. But I remember we were like running out of time and I needed some kind of like wide shot to show that you guys were lost or something. And that was, I guess I could blame it on Phil Abraham.
It's good.
Yeah. But I don't think there's anything to blame. I mean, maybe the guy did climb the tree. This guy was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did David, David, of course, watches every single shot and is very hands-on. Did he interfere much? Did he, you know what I mean? Did he, I know he wasn't on location with us, but did he?
No, every once in a while, not only in that episode. Oh, by the way, I directed 4, not 5. Yeah. But anytime, sometimes David would just kind of like come on set and just, and I'd always get so nervous.
Did that get you nervous? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh my God. It's like, what? Oh, okay. And all of a sudden I would like start to stutter and but no, but he wasn't there to interfere. He was just curious and he just wanted to see what was going on and to see if he could help. He actually did one time. I can't remember the scene. It wasn't Pine Barrens, but it was another episode. And I was just a little stuck on how to do it. And he was there, which made me more nervous. And he just said, yeah, well, I always thought it was this. And I went, okay, we'll try that, So he was just there to be supportive.
Tell us about, go back to Reservoir Dogs. It's now such an iconic classic film. That's Quentin's first feature, right? That was his.
Yeah.
And what was that? What was that experience like? How did that unfold? And what do you take? What's your takeaway? Well,
it was wonderful because he had a 2-week rehearsal period. Just had all the actors there every day rehearsing. Quentin's enthusiasm just kind of like, it was contagious. Like he was making his first film and I think we all felt like we were making our first film because it was, because he was so excited about getting to do it. And it was just one of those, things where I think as actors, we all felt like it was special material, but you never know if these things are going to, like how they're going to be when they come out. And Michael, you mentioned Sundance. I remember there were screenings in Sundance where half the audience would get up and walk out at like a certain point, like when Michael mentioned it, people would just like get up and walk out. It didn't get any awards. In fact, In the Soup won the grand jury award. And Seymour Cassell got the very first acting award at Sundance that year. Reservoir Dogs got shut out. Yeah.
Wow.
But then it gained momentum in other festivals and when it came out, I think it did really, really well. And then of course, as Quentin's career, blossomed, I think people who maybe missed it the first time then went back and checked it out.
Had you worked with any of those actors before?
None of them. No. Yeah. So
not with Harvey, but you worked at Scorsese. You did Life Lessons in the New York Stories, right? Weren't you in that?
I did. Yeah. That was the first thing I did with Scorsese. Yeah. I mean, I had done some movies before that. I had worked with Jarmusch and the Coen brothers.
No, I mean, but for Marty, that was the first one you did with him.
For Marty, that was the first thing I ever did. Yeah.
Steve, so do you still, I'm going to assume not, you don't ever have to audition anymore.
I don't.
You did tell me once, we had a conversation, and you told me that you weren't a good auditioner. And
I'm terrible.
And you told me that you read for Tin Man. You read for that movie, Tin Man. And who was it? Barry Levinson, I think, right?
Barry Levinson, yeah. I was on, so I did my, I read with the casting person, I did the scene, and Barry went, "Oh yeah, that's good. Now try it like this." And he gave me a very specific, note and direction. I went, "Okay." I read the scene again, and he looked at me and I looked at him and I went, "I just did it the same way, right?" He goes, "Yeah." Like I didn't do anything. I just copied exactly the way that and I knew right then, okay, I didn't get this part. But you know who got that part was Seymour.
Seymour Cassell?
Sure Seymour Cassell was the one who got the part that I auditioned for, yeah.
That's funny. That makes no sense at all.
No, I know, but it was one of those roles where it could
have been anyway, yeah. It is
yeah.
funny, though.
Jim didn't audition much. Like even starting out, Jim, for some reason, didn't have all that many auditions. I mean, he
really
was he was recommended. Gene Hackman recommended him numerous films. I know Alec Baldwin did, and they knew his work, and he didn't read all that much, either. Even early on, he didn't have to.
I would imagine that Jimmy would have trouble on auditions, and I, because we all know, because he was so hard on himself, and I could just see him, if he didn't nail something in the audition, he would, I could see him.
Well, I think that's what happened here. I mean, I think he read for David, and he didn't like what he did, and he says he got up and he went home. And I guess he asked if he could come back the next day or whatever. I think that's exactly what happened. I mean, Jim was more harder on himself than he was on other people and other actors. I mean, you work with him. I'm sure he, as a director, I'm sure you're working with him. I mean, he didn't give you a hard time at all. I mean,
no. Jimmy was fascinating to work with because sometimes he'd get so internal, and I'd just be shooting like a reaction shot. Like you didn't even have any lines, and it was just a reaction shot. But I would let the other actor do the whole scene, and sometimes you couldn't even really see it while it was happening. But then you watch the dailies, and you just go, "Oh my God!" It's do you remember the episode where Polly Bergen plays? She was like the mistress of Tony's dad. And Tony goes into her like in the cemetery, and she's kind of playing him, because he's helping her out, he's giving her money, And then she does this thing at her part. She sings the happy birthday song. On row. And with that scene, Jimmy, he's sitting on the couch, this was my dad's girlfriend. This is why he I never saw him, because he was with her. You see all these things just happening on his face, no dialogue. It was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Was that in Camelot? Was that episode? Did you direct that?
Yes. Yeah.
And she had the sailor hat on, right? She had the sailor hat.
Yeah.
She was,
it all went south for him at that moment. Yeah, it was cute, and he was kind of enamored, and it was sweet, and then it all just went like a lot of things on The Sopranos, just goes south. It starts off really well, and then it just goes.
And so you were originally going to be there for 2 years, and did you get the call, or David call you off to the side and said, how'd you find out? How'd you find out?
Well, the thing on the show was you didn't want to get a call from David, right? And then one day I get a call. He leaves a voicemail, and I'm like, oh, I guess is this it? So I call him back, and he says. And it was on a Sunday. He says, hey, you want to have lunch tomorrow? I went, oh, yeah, sure. Okay, we agreed to meet. So now I had that whole night to is this it? Is this? And then I went, well, why wouldn't you just tell me on the phone? And I went, don't go to that place where you think you're going to, maybe he's got another project for you. Maybe he wants to talk to you about season 2 and how your character's going to develop, and then I was like, yeah, that's what it is. I go to the lunch, and of course, the first thing he says is, yeah, I'm sorry. We got to kill you. He goes,
you got it too, huh?
And then he says, the reason I wanted to have lunch with you is because the last person I told over the phone, and he got upset that I didn't tell him in person. So,
yeah, I got it in person. I knew in person also. Yeah. So, but even yourself, I mean, you've done a gazillion projects and work with the biggest actors and directors, and you get that call from David, and it even had you thinking, keeping you up at night.
Yeah.
You don't want that call. You don't want that call.
I don't want to leave this show. I was having so much fun.
We had a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and a lot of just great people, and it's
a lot of parties. A lot of parties, a lot of premieres, a lot of finales, a lot of stuff going on. All the award shows and red carpets, and it was a hell of a thing to be a part of. That's for sure.
And it was great to see how it grew. Because I know, the first season, like you guys didn't know, like what it was going to be.
No idea.
Yeah,
no idea.
And for it to hit like the way it did. And people actually, talking about it the next day, because you'd had to see it you had to wait until Sunday to see it. And then people the next day would just be,
everyone talked about it Monday morning, every TV show, every radio show.
And what's weird now, it's become a hit with young people, like kids in their late teens and 20s. It's very weird. They were too young. They weren't even born when it was originally on. And it's huge. I mean, your son, his friends, they're into it?
I'm sure they watch it.
Michael, my son loves it. We used to set them up to, when it was on, we used to make him go to bed early. Like, all right, you got to go upstairs now. He loves it now. He loves your show. He loves you. He loves you guys.
Oh, does he? So what, are you on a series now? What do you have now?
Yeah, I'm doing the show with Daniel Radcliffe and a bunch of other great actors called Miracle Workers. It's an anthology show. So each season has a different theme. So the first year it took place in heaven, and I played God, but kind of like a God who doesn't know what he's doing, And,
does the real God know what he's doing?
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
And then the second season took place in the Dark Ages, and then and I played a shit shoveler in this little town. I went from God to shit shoveler. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about what season 3 is yet because they're still writing.
Where do you shoot that? Where do you shoot that show?
The first season we shot in Atlanta. Last year we shot in Prague. And probably because of COVID and all that, third season we'll probably shoot in California.
Yeah. Wow.
To keep everything contained.
Very cool.
Well, that's great, Steve. I couldn't thank you enough for doing this, man. Really.
Yeah, man. It was fun to have you, brother. I appreciate it.
Great to see you and talk to you.
Guys, congratulations.
Thank you very much. And you be well and stay safe, huh?
I will.
Thank you, my friend. Really,
All right,
thank
pal.
you very much.
See you soon, I hope.
Thank you,
All right.
Steve.
Bye.
All right, man. There you go. That was a great interview. A lot of information.
Great interview. Great episode. Pine Barrens coming up.
I got to tell you, that Steve Buscemi's a good guy. Good guy.
Good guy and a huge talent. A huge
Great
talent.
director, writer,
Yeah.
actor. You never hear anyone say a bad thing about Steve Buscemi.
No, not even you.
Not even me. And you know me, if I don't like you, I'll let you know.
Oh, I know.
But you never hear people say bad things about you.
Except you.
Because
Now the cat's out of the bag. Now I get a lot of bad stuff.
I tell the truth.
I get all kinds of shit. Steve's right. You're full of shit. You're nasty. You're whatever, pretentious. Whatever they say.
Listen, what you see here is what you get. I think that's also the truth for Steve Buscemi, who's done as big a movies as you can with the biggest stars, and he somehow he lives in Brooklyn. He's navigated his way not to be a Hollywood people.
No, and he's worked with the biggest people in Hollywood. I mean, I remember from the very first time I met him, I hadn't done much. I walked on the set of In the Soup, and he couldn't have been nicer. You know,
Yeah.
He was always a sweet guy, welcoming, and just.
I bet you deep down he thinks De Niro's a jack off, but I won't ask him.
I wouldn't know about that. I have no idea.
I bet you. I'm going to ask him when I see him.
Yeah, you should.
I could be wrong, but another thing that we have not done in a while, and this is the Pine Barrens. One of the leads, you and Tony Sirico were incredible in this episode. It's probably the greatest episode, 1 hour in TV history. It's beloved episode. You guys were just beyond fantastic.
It's pretty funny, man.
I watched it
I
twice.
laughed out loud. I hadn't seen it since it aired, and I have to say, not because it's me or whatever, I laughed out loud. It's fucking funny.
Really funny.
The ultimate fish out of water scenario, and that's.
It is just incredible. But our boy, Paulie Walnuts, Tony Sirico, who we love, I've got some Wingo Meter stuff. And this is the top of his game.
I heard the Wingo Meter crash during this episode.
Oh,
No?
you're probably right.
I heard this episode, it was down for a while. I called the guy, John Wesley Graham at Menlo Tech in Silicon Valley, the guy who built it. He was a protege of Wozniak, which I didn't realize.
Really?
They put a complete algorithm of every shot of Sirico into the thing. It is, and he said it's Wingometer.
No, fuck him. But
I don't know.
it is very complicated. This is very complicated and sophisticated technology.
I know it is. No, it is.
It's the Wingo
People
Meter.
think it's a joke. It's not.
And this, to me, on the Wingo Meter scale, okay, this is a 1. You see him early on? It's in the car. Do you see it good?
Now that's on the way to the Pine Barrens?
It's on his way to Pine Barrens. He's talking to Tony.
All right.
Okay, I'm giving that a 1 on the Wingo Meter.
That's the low. That's the lowest.
That's the lowest. Now this is a number 2.
Hey!
Nice shot. He's in Valerie's apartment.
That's a pretty
right.
decent wing.
That's right. That's a nice wing. Very full, fluffy wing. I'm sure Tony, before this episode, knowing he had a big one, he went and got spruced up. That's what he used to do.
And he did that on his own. He didn't have the hair people do that.
No, the hair people were not allowed to touch it.
All right.
They were not allowed to touch it.
All right.
Okay? He goes to a guy in Bay Ridge, been there for years, 3 brothers. Now I think they're down to 2 brothers. One guy didn't make it.
Now, let me ask you, the guy in Bay Ridge, is the wings his thing or is it Tony's thing?
Tony's thing completely. It's Tony's thing, but he perfected it. They dyed Tony's hair jet black, then they put in silver wings. That's how it goes. And it's an all day, it's a good 4 or 5 hour process. Tony would get there 8 in the morning as soon as they open, and goes in there. It's right on Fifth Avenue and 86th Street in Bay Ridge. I think it's down to two brothers. Okay. Now, number 3, incredible. This is just incredible.
Now those are wings. Those are ready to take off. He's ready for takeoff. Right?
This is a number 3 wing.
Oh! Hey!
Now, you know Tony won't let anyone touch his hair. Terry Winter and I believe Steve Buscemi or Phil Abraham talked Tony and said, Tony, we have to. You're in the snow. You're lost in the snow. You're freezing. The wings can't stay intact. And after 15 solid minutes, he agreed.
It was a long discussion.
And he messed up the wings himself. He did it himself in his style. Now, the ultimate wing.
Oh! Hey!
Number 4 on the wing scale. Not even number 4. This is off the charts. Off the goddamn charts right here. This is a 7 or 8. We don't even have it. We don't even have those wings.
That's a 747 jumbo jet, my friend.
That is an incredible wing.
Yes.
Just incredible. For you people, if you're listening, you need to go on YouTube so you can see what we're talking about here. These are incredible wings, a display like you've never seen before.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't even think we should ever use it again after this. You may want to retire it.
You'll probably never see wings like this again.
No, you'll never see that.
Anywhere, anyhow. But let's get back to the Pine Barrens. It was an incredible episode. It starred you and Tony Sirico, Lost in the Woods, you and Paulie Walnuts, Christopher and Paulie Walnuts. As Buscemi directed it. It was the first one he directed.
This is before he came on as a cast member. David loved Trees Lounge. We talked about how David hired Sheila Jaffe, Georgianne Walken, who cast Trees Lounge, Steve's first movie as a director and writer. David loved the casting, so he hired them. And he loved Steve's directing and writing, and he hired him to direct this episode.
And this is the highest rated episode of the entire series, all 86. This is the highest rated. People talk about it. If you ask anyone, and even when we went to Australia and we did our conversation with the Sopranos shows, everyone, the consensus was this was people's favorite episode.
And supposedly it was a dream of Tim Van Patten, had a dream of Paulie and Christopher lost in the woods, and he told Terry. And I guess Terry wound up on David, and then Terry wrote the script around it. That's really what it came from.
Now, this episode took 12 days. At the time, that was a record. That was the most days. Usually we shot 9 days, maybe 10.
Yeah.
And then later on, as the series went on, 17 days, the last 9 episodes. It took us 9 months, basically, to shoot 9 episodes in that season 7 there. This was a good one. A lot of fun. People quote this probably more than any other episode, you know?
I'm going to get in later on when we get into this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of the Pine Barrens, although actually this was not shot in the Pine Barrens or in New Jersey. We were supposed to shoot it at South Mountain Reservation in Essex County, and at the last minute, the county officials banned us because they felt we were giving Italian Americans a bad name. So whoever, the Essex County officials...
Wait a minute. There was one of the officials, and Andy, get me his name. There's one of these scumbag officials that nixed us and was very vocal about the whole stereotype stuff. He got convicted of bribery and of stealing money.
Well, there you go.
That's
if you're
scumbag.
Against the Sopranos, you're probably crooked. That's the lesson.
And that's the truth.
So then, late in the game, we had to find a new location, and we went to Harriman State Park, Orange County, New York, up near West Point, and that's where this is shot. The woods, the stuff in the woods is shot in New York State.
When we shot this episode, I didn't get a lift yet. They weren't picking me up. And so,
that wasn't part of your deal yet?
Not yet. So I had a car, and I drove up there, and I had a very early call. It was crazy, and I drove up there I left at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm the worst driver in the world.
But you don't drive on the highway. How did you get up there?
Well, I did then, and I could see at night then. It was 20 years ago, but I'm a terrible driver. His name was James Trefinger. James Trefinger was very vocal about not having us shoot there because we gave Italians a bad name, and this piece of shit was stealing money. So there you go. There you have it.
That's it. Never go against the Sopranos. That's the moral of that story.
That's the moral of that story. But yeah, so I left 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, found my way. Don't ask me how. No GPS, no nothing. I got directions. And we stayed in the hotel right next to West Point. We were staying.
It was actually on the grounds of West Point. You had to go through the gate. It was on the grounds of West Point. Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel. Nice.
And we stayed there, and that's where, and I've told that story before, Sirico couldn't sleep because the pillows were too hard. So he sent the production assistant back to Brooklyn, 2 hours away, to get his pillows off his bed.
That's totally true, that story. Yeah.
We had a lot of fun up there. We were there for, I guess, 4 days or whatever it was.
We were there for a few days. I have to say, we went out. I mean, I remember playing guitar in some bar, playing Freebird on guitar in some bar, and my hand started. I was playing some shitty acoustic guitar, and my hand started bleeding, but I wouldn't stop playing. The blood was flying off my hand.
I talked about it with Steve, but I had an expedition. It was me, Jim, you, Buscemi, and somebody else. And we found some local bar. Buscemi was singing, "I Want to Be Sedated." I mean, it was horrible. And I left. I left you guys very late because I had an early call. I remember one of the PAs was puking in a garbage can. Sirico didn't come out with us. And he was torturing
he needed
us.
his rest, and he was probably right.
And he was torturing us the next morning, if you remember.
He was torturing us because we were all hungover. Yes.
Yeah, very, very hungover.
I have to say, I love the opening to this episode. I love Annabella parking the car. She's got that headscarf, kind of a little Steven headscarf. She puts on the sunglasses, the hat. She's got the boots, the fur coat, and the song. It's Van Morrison, the band Them, the song Gloria, which he wrote when he was 18 years old.
Did he really?
He wrote it when he was 18. It was released in 1964. It was the B-side of Baby Please Don't Go. And the title he got, it was his cousin who was 13 years older than him, although the song's not about her, but he used her name. There's a really interesting cover by The Doors. The Doors do Gloria, and Jim Morrison improvises the filthiest, dirtiest lyrics I've ever heard.
Let me hear him.
You got to listen to him.
Let me hear him. Come on, sing it for me.
I'm not singing it.
Why?
It is because
they're just words. They're just words.
It's something you really have to hear. It's not.
Oh.
You're going to spoil it. Filthiest lyrics. And then Patti Smith, of course, covered it on the Horses album, 1975, which may be my favorite version, even though Van wrote it and Van does it great. But Patti, I have a soft spot for. But it's just a great cinematic opening, and she looks great, and she's so, she really nails this character right from the very first time we see her in the first episode she's in. Every time she's on screen, it's just so vivid and it's just right. She's so good, I have to say.
And it shows also the contrast very much of Carmela, who's beautiful, but she's suburban New Jersey beautiful, as opposed to Gloria Trillo's more Manhattanite.
Or Irina, who was young, kind of a very young, almost a kid who's not that, she's not very independent. She relies on him. Gloria throws Tony off. He doesn't know how to really navigate.
Well, she's very sophisticated, kind of in her own way, and
crazy,
dresses and independent and fucking crazy. Another crazy as the day is long. In the Stugatz, Gloria enters the boat. The phone rings. It's Irina. She says it's Mrs. Washington. It's Tony there.
Big no. She never should have answered the phone. That's a big, overstepping the fucking line.
Gumata should know her place, but she's not your everyday Gumata.
She definitely is not. And that was a very bold, dangerous move.
That could have been Tony's wife. It could have been Carmela. And
I think she was maybe hoping it was.
Oh, sure. Or maybe his kids. Who knows who it could have been, She says it's Mrs. Washington from the school. Tony gets on. She says, I lost my medal. I think I lost it on the boat. Who are you with? Tony lies. Then he fesses up, and she does tease off on him.
And he really doesn't like that she answered the phone, and yet he's almost like paralyzed. She's like kryptonite to him. He's almost paralyzed by her. He doesn't, normally something like that, he'd really just tee off, you know what I mean? But he is kind of like a deer in the headlights with her. It's very interesting. She
brought him a Christmas present. She goes off on him. Why'd you lie? I don't want to hurt your feelings. No, you didn't want to put up with me. You lied for you, not for me. She goes a whole fucking tirade of craziness, throws the present out the window, says Merry Christmas. And Tony is stunned.
He's stunned. Yeah.
He's fucking stunned. He is like, what the fuck just happened? He doesn't even know what to say. What just happened? One of many huge red flags.
Huge red flag. And again, she accuses him of being selfish, self-centered. It's all about you. I think part of the reason why she kind of is so throws him off kilter so much is that she's got elements of Livia and Janice.
Of course, absolutely.
And that fucking messes him up. But
I also think she's probably like this with every guy she's with. She's one of them crazy women. There's crazy guys, there's crazy women. They like the drama. They like the fighting.
Like the drama.
They like this.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before. The whole idea with a Gumata is you're supposed to enjoy, supposed to have fun. Every day should be, a Saturday night. It should be fun and sex and eating and drinking and gifts and a good time. That's the concept behind it. But when it becomes
theoretically,
when it becomes more of a hassle than your marriage, you got to think about it, right?
Right, exactly. It should be like it's a friend. It's like just having fun.
There are some women that enjoy being the other woman. For numerous reasons. One is they don't want responsibility themselves. I just want to have a good time. I don't want to be attached. I don't want to be married. I don't want kids. I just want to have a good time with this guy. No strings attached. I see him when I see him. It's always great. And then you have other ones that makes you wonder. They're alone on the holidays, any family time,
And there's some who just thrive on being the homewrecker.
Oh, yeah.
They like that drama. They like kind of getting in there and sabotaging it for whatever psychological reasons.
And guys love the Gumatas, want to navigate away from his wife. Also, guys like to be dangerous. They're crazy.
Now, what's the male equivalent of a Gumar? Like, so if a woman has a boyfriend on the side, married woman has a boyfriend on the side, what do you call him?
Boy toy? I don't know. A fuck
boy
buddy?
Toy.
I don't know. I've never been in that spot.
You never were in that spot?
No. I also would never go with a married woman. I would never do
Not
that.
my thing.
Not even when I was younger. When I was single, I would never.
Actually, when I was 23, I did. It was not a good thing. I didn't like. I was involved with a married woman. It was not a good thing.
I think there's a maloika there. That's bad karma.
Bad vibes, yeah.
Especially if you know the guy. If you didn't know, it's one thing. But if you know the guy and then you're banging his wife, that's a big no-no.
Bad. Well, never got that far. It was more of a flirtation.
Ed, tell me more. Lay down on the couch. Tell Uncle Phil. Lay down. Tell Uncle Steve. Lay down on the couch.
I don't have an issue or problem. I'm just telling you about it. You know.
Okay. Well, you should have. Are you sorry you didn't sleep with him?
No. We were friends. We were working together, and then it got romantic. But I knew her husband. It was a mess. And then,
how old?
Thank God it didn't. How old was she?
She older than you?
Probably about 10 years older than me.
Oh, that would have been good. And you were 23, 33. That was really old back then.
That was really old. Now it's really young.
If you stripped a 33-year-old, oh my goodness, holy shit! She's an old lady, for Christ's sake. We're in the nail salon.
Let's go with the satin finish. What is the satin finish? Shiny? Is that what that is?
I guess I'm not.
Does Tony do his nails? He does, doesn't he?
Oh, sure. Tanning salon. He does his nails. Gets the hair done. He's like a day of pampering in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. He go, like a woman goes pampering. He goes pampering.
A beauty day.
Absolutely.
You don't do that.
No. I bite my nails. I've got my nails manicured, of course, but no finish on it. He wants it to look shiny, satin finish. I don't know if that means polish or just buff them up,
Satin finish must mean a polish, a glaze or something. I don't know. I don't know much about those things.
Tony calls Paulie, do me a favor, go see Valerie, pick up the $5,000. For Silvio, he's got the flu. He says he's got to take his mom to Social Security.
He's still living with his mother at this point. That's
still living with his mother.
And Tony actually lived with his mother around this time. You know that, right? In Brooklyn.
Still? I thought he was out by then.
I was around season 2. I don't know. He was still, I remember he's sleeping on the couch in his mother's,
Wow.
Until The Sopranos, during the beginning of The Sopranos. He lived with his mom in Brooklyn. He's pissed off that he has to do Silvio's work. There's a little bit of a rivalry. He says Silvio has the flu, but he's a little bit, he's pissed off. He feels a little slighted by this, and he's not happy.
He's kind of right. He's a captain. He's way up there. What are you sending him for? If anything, I would have thought he would have sent Christopher.
Yeah.
To do something like that, which he does, but Paulie gets the call. Carmela.
All right,
Tony,
let's take a break. Let's take a break. We'll come back and hit this Melfi's office.
Melfi's office. Carmela and Tony, they're in therapy together. She's a little concerned about Meadow, she tells her. She's dating a boy. There's some of friends of theirs.
Do you think Tony told Carmela that Jackie was cheating, or was it,
No.
Because last episode she was kind of into her dating Jackie, and now she's worried. Why is that?
Well, I think she was worried from the beginning. Remember, she said she
didn't like it, but then she did like it last episode.
I don't think he did, but it's possible because he said he wasn't going to tell Meadow. It would break her heart.
You think he said, my friend saw Jackie in a strip club getting a lap dance? Nah.
Because then she would say, I don't know. I don't think so.
That's not something Tony would bring up, but...
Because then you're going to get into the whole, what strip club? Where?
Right,
where?
Of course.
What friend? Where?
Well, she knows Tony works at a strip club. She knows that. Tony says, you believe that Noah dumped his daughter. Like he's very kind of offended by that,
Yeah.
And then he's saying, oh, now I'm responsible for her being with Jackie Jr. Like she's blaming him, for the breakup and for him being with Jackie. But in some ways he is responsible in a way.
In a way. I mean, listen, there's another thing. She saw Noah, and it was just like their first date. They weren't even officially dating. So he was very rude, Tony, beyond rude. Couldn't be ruder to try to chase this guy away, and he didn't. But, I mean, what was it? Going to be a marriage? I mean, she's a freshman in college.
Right, and when you do that to the kid, then they want to rebel and fight against you, of course.
Of course, Tony makes a lot of bad moves. For a smart guy and the boss of a family, as we go through these episodes, you see some big blunders, Tony.
Especially as a husband and as a father.
As a father, absolutely. Meadow's dorm, Meadow and Jackie Jr. playing Scrabble. Jackie plays his ass on the board. Jackie is a real dumb, spoiled fucking brat.
Yeah, and she obviously, she's sick. She's bummed out. She kind of sees it here, but she doesn't want to admit it to herself that they're really mismatched. You know, she likes to say we come from the same world. She tells her friend later in the episode, you don't know what it's like growing up the way we did, but they really don't have that much in common. You know, Meadows, she got into Columbia. She's a very smart kid.
She's very smart, very nice. Jackie just wants to get laid. He doesn't have much depth to him at all, this guy.
No, he's asking her, she's got a flu. Do you want to take ecstasy? He's obviously bored. He wants to get the hell out of there. He wants sex. She's not feeling good.
He also throws the carrot out there like, come on, you want to give me some? He puts the ass there, you want to give me some? And then she says, I'm sick, and then he comes back to it again. He takes another shot at maybe he's going to get laid. She can't believe he's going to leave. She is kind of a little possessive. She's sick. You're in your hotel dorm. Yeah. What the hell's he got to stick around for? To be honest, I would have ran out of there myself.
But she wants him there.
And Jamie Lynn Sigler is terrific in this episode, as she's in all of them. She does a terrific job.
Always.
Really,
yeah.
She's become such, as you could see the progression, not that she was ever a bad actress at the beginning. She just gets better and better and better.
No doubt.
She's a terrific actress.
I will say now that we're getting into the next scene, Christopher and Paulie go to Valerie's apartment. This episode, they should teach this in film school, how to write an episode, how to build tension, because it's like it just sets up and creates problems, obstacles, and tensions just perfectly. You see how the stakes just keep getting higher and higher and more complicated. I'll point it out as we go, but it's brilliantly constructed and written episode. It's just genius.
So we go to Valerie's apartment. Paulie and Christopher knock on the door. Valerie is drunk, probably high.
He's a really good actor.
Yes, he does a great job. He's in his pajamas. He tells him money's on the entertainment center. Paulie has a hard-on for Russians. He already said it in the nail salon when Tony said, go pick up the money. He says, I don't know why we deal with these people. Tony says, take a guess. Well, because we make money with them. But Paulie's got a hard-on.
I think Paulie's pissed off because this guy probably has more electronics and fancier stuff than he does.
Sure, of course.
And he's thinking that this guy is an immigrant. He should probably be living in a little, a dump somewhere with nothing. And he's offended. Paulie's like, the universal remote really gets under Paulie's skin. The fact that this guy's Paulie doesn't even know what that is. And this guy's got it.
You wiped your hand with your ass. You wiped your ass with your hand,
barehanded,
and now look what you got. And he's antagonizing. He's calling him KGB. He's irritating this fucking.
What's his name? The actor?
Vitaly.
Vitaly. What's his last name?
That I don't know.
Is it hard to pronounce?
Probably, which is why I don't know it.
He, I just got to say, he really nails. I mean, he was introduced in the last episode, "Save Us All from Satan's Power," and he's just, he was just perfect casting.
He's
very believable. Yeah,
drunk. He's obnoxious. Paulie's talking about Russians. It's kind of setting up, what's to come. Paulie doesn't like Russians. He's breaking balls, and you know what? Valerie's not scared.
He doesn't give a shit. Vitaly Baganov, that's his name. Vitaly Baganov, great job.
And he's not scared or impressed by Paulie and Chris.
No, not intimidated. Doesn't give a shit. I also have to say, Tony Sirico was just in every scene in this episode phenomenal. His performance is just fucking great.
Absolutely,
genius.
Really, really good. This is just the part of the. Tony Sirico legend right here.
And he really
rose to the occasion. Like you said, he was going to bed, he was getting sleep, and he messed up his hair, but he knew that this was important, and he really went for it and was very, he also Tony never, ever phoned it in. He knew his shit. He would rehearse in the mirror at home and learn all his lines and like when he says the satin finish, he does that thing with his hand, like he practiced that shit.
Yeah, no, I know. He does it, he'll do it, that's what he does.
And he always prepared. He was never, never showed up underprepared.
I think by the read-through, he already has the lines down.
He would
rehearses.
Say, lock him in, he said. I got to lock him in. He never, ever phoned it in, that guy. No. Very professional.
And it also was good here for Tony because once the show was the read-through, they very rarely changed the lines.
That's true.
It wasn't like some shows where you're getting pages every night,
New
and
scenes.
you want to pull your hair out of your head.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen that much on here. Tweaks maybe, but not much.
But that's what happens with sitcoms. That's something that drives me crazy. You go Monday morning, everyone's laughing. It's hilarious. Oh, this is the greatest script. Then by Monday afternoon, new pages. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And, by Friday night when you're supposed to tape, it's all new pages and you're driving yourself fucking crazy. You're shitty in your pants. You're in front of a live audience.
They changed it like 7-8 times by then.
Yeah, I don't understand. I never could understand that. It was funny Monday morning. By Friday, it's usually not funny.
It's in the garbage.
Usually, that's in my experience. Outside the building, Paulie and Christopher.
The fight is great, though. The fight is a good one. It's funny. It's weird. It's just and here's how the tension builds. So it's important to get this money. It's a routine thing. The money's there. It's not like he didn't have the money. It's a routine fucking stop. Get the money. It's not like he's short even. The money's there. He's given the money. And it just goes fucking south. It's brilliant. It's a great beginning.
Well, it's because Paulie's breaking his balls. He drops the remote. Valerie says, in my house, he disrespects him in his house. He calls him a cocksucker. Paulie hits him in the head with a bottle. It gets ugly. Christopher's on his back. Paulie, where are you? Sirico did a lot of the stunts himself back then.
He did, yeah.
He did some of the stuff
and himself. This guy's a big dude. He's a big guy.
And you were in a studio there.
We were. That was probably Silver Cup. I don't remember. Maybe, yeah, that was probably Silver Cup.
I mean, he chokes him with the lamp. Is it a lamp? This is a lamp, right? And he says, I think I broke his windpipe. He's dead. I cracked his windpipe. Christopher's kind of losing it. What are you doing, Paulie? Christopher told him up front when he broke the remote. He went, Paulie, like, what are you fucking doing? Let's get the money and let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, who needs this? It should have been cut and dry, routine. And that's the beginning. And now they wrap him up in the carpet, which is very funny, pulling him when walk out of the building with the carpet. It's
a big carpet, big long carpet. The guy's got to be 6 foot, 5, 6?
He's a big fucking dude. Yeah.
7. Yeah. It was a really good scene. But Paulie instigated it all. But has it ever happened to you where, for whatever reason, somebody pissed you off? And it's kind of stewing, and finally you whether you snap, you're yelling at someone. It's whether it's in a store with someone or whatever it is, even with your wife or your kid, and then you go, and becomes, from this little thing, it becomes this thing.
Yeah.
And you go, why the fuck did I even say anything? Yeah. Where you're totally wrong, you go, why did I say anything at all? I should have just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and it just snowballs. It's that immediately.
And only this snowball, which much higher stakes, but
higher stakes.
It's happened to all of us where you go, why did I should have just kept my mouth shut. I could have had a nice night here, right? In the bedroom, Gloria's in bed naked. Tony's in the chair. He's reading the card.
She's a real head case, right? So the last time she's yelling, she's angry, he's selfish, she's this, she's that. Now she's apologizing. She gives him a gift. That's a jalaba. It's a Moroccan robe. I used to have I knew some Moroccans in the village, some friends of mine. When they hang out, relaxing at home, that's what they wear.
They're smoking a big fucking bong while they're doing it, right?
Hashish, and they wear that thing. Yeah, exactly.
You have to wear, that's you're smoking in a bong outfit.
They smoke in a pipe, not a bong, no, a pipe.
A pipe?
Yeah.
Not a big giant water bong, whatever you do. I don't know. I'm not a weed guy.
They didn't. No, they had regular little pipes.
Smoke out of an apple? Did you ever smoke weed out of an apple?
No.
I've saw people do it.
Yeah, you got to be desperate. Yeah, she's
crazy. He should have ran, but he likes it. She's crazy, completely crazy. That's the second gift she bought. She threw the one gift in the water. She must have brought him a robe also.
This she brought from Morocco, yeah.
Okay, so she bought him two gifts.
Now he can't wear that at home. That's not going to fly.
That's for around her house.
That's for around her house.
For him to lounge around her house. Right. He likes it. He should have ran for the hills. The rest stop, Tony, they called Tony. They got the money, but it got physical. Paulie says Valerie sucker punched him.
And this is where we start ramping the tension. This is not good because he's doing a lot of business with his friend, with Slava. He doesn't want to fuck this up. They're laundering big money.
Big money.
This is not good. A little thing here in New Jersey. You don't pump your own gas. You know that?
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's
not
self-serve. It's
not self-serve. And like in the Bada Bing, you don't have topless dancers if you serve booze.
Correct.
It's a little poetic license we did on The Sopranos. We allowed, we had topless dancers serving booze. That's not real.
Yeah.
There was a place across the parking lot of the Bada Bing that was fully nude, I think, and they didn't serve booze. You bring your own booze.
And bring your own booze in.
And when we were shooting, they would rent that place out and have lunch there for the crew and the kids and stuff.
You like that?
It was disgusting. No, it wasn't open. It was disgusting. It was stinky, and you know what's going on there. I didn't want to. I would eat in my trailer. I would never even go in there.
The thing is, you think they're bringing their own booze in. It's such a silly law, anyway.
It's the dumbest law.
It's just what's the you know what I mean?
It's the dumbest.
I remember going to one. The girls come around and the guys are drinking their own beers. It is so low rent, big old white buckets, and it was just the worst. I think I was with Johnny V.
Sounds like a good time, actually.
I think I was with Johnny. It was the lowest of low.
I'd be down for that. All right, that sounds.
And they had one in Vegas called the Centerfold, and it was out. I might have took you there, Boulder Highway. And they had cans of beer. Remember I took you there?
Yes. We went to Hoover Dam that day. It was on the way to Hoover Dam, right?
On the way to Hoover Dam.
I remember that place.
It was cans of beer.
Yes.
And the girls would wait on you, and they had slot machines in the bar. It was a small place. Yeah. And then they would get up and dance.
Yeah.
So they would serve you like a can of beer, and then even the bartender would say, hang on. I'll be back in a few dances. And then she would go and dance and come back.
Yeah, I remember that place.
I didn't like the glitzy glamour strip clubs. I don't like that. I like
the little local bar.
Down and dirty, If they have teeth, they're good looking. You know what I mean?
That's always a plus, yeah.
When Paulie tells Tony that Valerie sucker punched him, Christopher gives a look. Okay, so it begins. We're in the bedroom. Tony and Gloria are having sex. The phone rings. Paulie, it's me. Things got physical. You're supposed to pick up the money. He sucker punched me. Tony walks to the bathroom. Again, bad connection, very frustrating. It's frustrating as a viewer.
Yes, this is another layer of tension, right? Now you know, and this is going to play for the rest of the episode. The reception's bad, so you're only getting partial communication. The other little thing, and this is good for all you aspiring screenwriters, Christopher didn't eat breakfast. And Paulie doesn't want to stop to eat now. They're going to eat later. Another thing, because adding that little layer, that little nugget, that's going to play so much later on when they're lost in the woods. Just adding these little things that create all this tension is just.
It's all setting stuff up for later on.
It's all setting it up. Yeah.
He's with the luggage. I got supposed to meet Slava later. What am I supposed to say to him? Use your judgment, but whatever you decide to do, stay the fuck away from me. So he tells him he's with the luggage. He got physical. Basically, he's telling him he killed him. If I was Tony, I would have never picked up that phone. They were right in the middle. And
now he's worried about you're not picking up the phone during sex. Yeah, I guess Tony's always on call, huh?
I guess so. That's a little too much for me. Shit.
It's a bad job. What is he, like the president?
But he also, I could see her being mad at that. Like, come on, are you kidding me?
That's right.
That I could see her being pissed at. He says, you got time for lunch? She says, you want my lunch? What about dinner? 9:00 at my house. You like London broil.
And Paulie and Christopher, their plan is, let's just dump the body. We'll be down the shore. We'll go to AC. We'll get a room. We'll play blackjack. We'll have a steak.
Wants to go to Morton's.
They're going to make this. They're going to make it a little outing. They got in trouble, but they're going to take care of it. Tony's scared that he might walk into an ambush. Now, if
of course, absolutely.
He's scared that this is bad. This is not good.
But to go to show you how ruthless these guys are. So they went there, they pick up the money, they wind up killing this guy. He's in the trunk of the car. They're as nonchalant could be, especially Paulie. Let's go to AC. We'll have a steak. I mean, you kill the guy, and it's like nothing. It absolutely means nothing. We just killed this guy, and we're going to make a day of it in Atlantic City. Don't give it a second thought.
Yeah.
Correct?
That's it.
Christopher just killed him, and he wants Roy Rogers.
He wants to go to Roy Rogers, and they don't go. And Christopher, that's going to bite them in the ass later on.
Melfi's office. Tony says, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm seeing somebody, a patient of yours, Gloria. Trillo. Why Gloria? She's smart. She's sexy. She's Italian. Maybe she reminds me of you. Point is, she makes me happy. Stick to your own kind. And Melfi has a great line. What is this? West Side Story?
It is a good line, yeah.
And, when I was a kid, well, first of all, West Side Story is one of my favorite movies.
Fantastic. One of the best.
And when I was a kid, I didn't realize. I thought that it was like real gang guys. I thought they were so tough. In the meantime, they're doing pirouettes and
they were ballet dancers.
They're sashaying and pirouettes in the basketball courts. But this is one of those movies for me. Whenever it's on, I have to watch it.
It's the best, man, and it's and it holds up. You never get tired of it. The music's fantastic.
Great, and that the first shot when the over the sky shot.
Tremendous.
They're going through New York City and the Bronx and over Yankee Stadium, and they shot a lot of it near where Lincoln Center is now. That doesn't exist anymore.
That's where my grandfather grew up, my mother's father. He grew up on 69th near West End, and it was tenements. It was Italians, it was Irish, and it was black, that whole area. Now it's Lincoln Center, and there's big apartment buildings. It used to be all tenements, that whole West Side.
Yeah, I was there today, actually, and up in the 50s there, it's absolutely beautiful. They made it at John Jay College, I just love that. I love the music. And Spielberg, there's a new one coming out, modern day one. I don't know if you knew that. New movie.
I saw the Broadway maybe about 10 years ago. They did a bilingual version. It was very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Music,
I saw that.
The music just holds up. It's
going to be tough. It's going to be tough to top that movie, but let's see what happens.
No, it's very tough. That's a tough one to top.
That's a tough one. I have to see it for myself. Do you think you think lying to Carmela in therapy is the best thing for your panic attacks? He says, I'm content, I'm relaxed. The bottom line, I'm a better husband, better father. Being with Gloria makes me happier.
He believes that?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he's happy. He said, better than this therapy bullshit and Prozac. Listen, Tony's very infatuated. He's falling in love with this girl.
He is, absolutely.
This isn't just another person that, he strips on the side.
And why do you think he told Melfi?
I think he's kind of jabbing her a little bit.
I think so too.
Reminds me of you.
I agree.
He's
jamming her a little.
And I think she's a little jealous.
And I think she's a little jealous, and she's almost like there's kind of a little smirk, almost like she knows that this can really blow up in his face, because she knows Gloria's got big problems. She knows way more about Gloria than Tony does.
Yes, of course.
So she can see 5 steps ahead, and she's like, I think she's almost a little satisfied that he's going to kind of run into the fire at some point.
You may be right.
Yeah.
But I also think, I also think, Michael, that, Melfi, we saw one of her boyfriends in the earlier episodes. He was a square. Remember that guy?
Sure.
He got beat up.
Sure.
So we saw him. He's a square. We saw her husband, who's a Wonder Bread wop. Tony is completely out of the Melfi circle. She wouldn't think about dating a guy like that. She probably would never even run into a guy like that.
No. Except
for here. And I think there is certainly an infatuation, a little crush maybe.
The bad boy thing.
Wondering, like George Costanza. I'm the bad boy. Remember that one?
Yes. Yes.
The Pine Barrens, Paulie and Christopher drive in the back roads. They stop in the woods. What do you think? Christopher, I think we should have ate. He's very hungry. Open up the trunk. Christopher opens the trunk. Valerie's still alive, a la Goodfellas, correct?
A la Goodfellas. There's a lot of snow. We spoke about the snow. It wasn't supposed to snow. It was fucking freezing. There's a lot of snow. That's up off the Palisades Parkway up there.
He calls him a fucking piece of shit. Fuck you. You fuck your mother. He tells
I wash
Paulie,
my balls with cold water, the guy says.
This is warm. I believe that he does. Fuck your fucking mother. No one ever says that to Paulie Walnut.
No, he doesn't like that.
But this guy's not going down easy.
He's not, and then Paulie says to him, he gives him the shovel to dig his own grave. And then he says, we didn't come to your house to kill you. He kind of apologizes almost, kind of a half-ass apology. But, now you got to die because this can't come out, right?
Let me tell you, this is the worst decision. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen. This 6'7" guy, at the time, they don't know that he's a Russian Green Beret.
Commando. No, they don't
So
know.
they don't know that. But here's this guy, obviously survived the supposed cracked windpipe, not afraid of them. You're going to untie, he ate through the tape on his mouth. You're going to you're going to untie him and give him a shovel?
Well, they didn't want to dig. It's cold, hard ground. Bad move.
Terrible decision.
It's like Batman when Joker or Riddler would catch Batman, they'd put him in some elaborate contraption instead of just shooting him in the head or something, right?
Always. It's always kill him.
Right. In 3 hours, you'll be dead as these drops of acid drop by drop pour down on you. And in 3 hours, you'll be dead instead of just shooting him, right? Christopher asks how far to AC, and that was, his attention was a little distracted, and guy hits him in the head. And now he starts running. They shoot. they think they got him, and then he magically disappears.
Paulie says, "What the fuck? I got him, didn't I? Didn't I? Maybe he's stunned. Let's see. He's got to be close. His head's probably hanging off. I don't see any more blood. It's like the trail just ended. But like Steve had said, you see that shot. There's no more blood, and you see it like he climbed.
It's a point of view from up in the tree looking down, and it almost looks like it might be his point of view that he's hiding in the tree. But apparently, he did not intentionally want to communicate that. They just did. They just did that shot as part of constructing the scene. But it does seem like maybe he went in the tree. Although you'd think they would look up.
You would think so, but you also would say, I mean, how did he climb that tree? I guess he is a commando. They do incredible things, but what was he? How did he climb that tree? But it's pretty amazing.
So now he's gone. Here's the next level of tension. The guy is, not only did they first they think they kill him, then they didn't kill him, then they're gonna kill him. They're gonna have him dig the grave, but now he's gone. It's just
Chris falls. He's holding his head. Is he in the tree? Chris is hurt pretty bad. They take off. It's hard to run in the snow. I'm sure it was hard for you to run anyway.
It's hard to run in the snow. It's really hard.
Yeah. He's running. He's in his pajamas. Valerie don't give a shit. They got a lot of. Another thing I think is poetic license. How many bullets are in this gun? I mean, they're shooting away.
I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't count, but they're shooting away. Soprano house. AJ's watching TV. Tony's in the kitchen. Carmela comes down and says, "You're going to be home for dinner." Horrible move on Tony's part. He knows he has a date at 9:00. She gave you the out. No, I got to work.
All right. Another layer. This is another complication, another layer of tension that they're building.
I'm having dinner with blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? She gave you the out. I'm going to go to the market.
Big mistake.
Terrible mistake. Should have never. Tony starts dialing. He should have never agreed to be home for dinner. Christopher, they're in the woods. The phone rings. Paulie's phone rings. Did you wrap the package? We had a little problem. This is hilarious. The package hit Chrissy with an implement and ran off. Is there any way the package could survive? I got a meeting with Slava. I could be walking into a fucking buzzsaw. He's pissed. He's crazy. Tony hangs up. AJ's listening to everything. Chris says maybe it's like when you cut a chicken's head off, they keep running around. Tony's pissed. You know what's funny? You hear this all the time on wiretaps, like mob guys. They go, the package, like the FBI's listening, and they don't know what
they're not going to know what he's talking about. Yeah.
A friend of mine worked on a wiretap thing, and he told me they were calling coke like each gram was a pair of pants. Yeah, so the guy wanted a pair of pants. I dropped a pair of pants off at his house. He wanted 2 pairs of pants. I go, listen, do you have bring over 3.5 pairs of pants? It's funny.
It's also funny they got their lines crossed here. They're getting other people's conversations. Somebody's saying it's like she gets sciatica, and someone else is saying it's my life. I'll live it how I want. They're hearing other. It's just all. It's a mess right now. It's just all fucking. It's all.
Paulie says I don't know. He's all worried about this Slava asshole. He's already. He doesn't like that Tony is. Kissing Slava's ass, or so he thinks.
He really doesn't like it.
He doesn't know what's going on between them, and he doesn't like it. Let's go. Fuck this. Where did we park? He goes 4 years in the Army. We'll just follow our own footprints. Tony was in the Army in real life.
He was. That's right.
Imagine that. His helmet had wings.
The other good thing is they don't have lighters, so they can't light their cigarettes. And if you're a smoker, at some point you really need a cigarette. I mean, smoking is basically nicotine addiction. And when you don't get one for a while, it starts to bother you.
So you're getting edgy.
Edgy.
They're getting edgy.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
On top of freezing, edgy, sun starting to go down. It's probably like that 3 o'clock, 3:30. It's
Now it's
like
getting really
that time.
cold. Yes.
They're shivering cold. We walked in a circle. How is that fucking possible? Okay, let's reason this out. And he gives him some whole thing. We were driving south and the sun sets here. What good does that do us now? We're fucking lost. They're not dressed for the cold.
And he says, stop getting cunty.
Yeah.
They're lost.
He says, what has this got going on? What has he got going on with the Slav? And Chris says, matter of fact, it's none of our business.
Right.
Says it's none of our business. And Paulie wants to know. Well, Paulie is in everybody's business, isn't he?
He's a busybody. That's for sure.
He's in everybody's. Slav is office. Tony arrives, sends his daughter out.
Now the daughter's there, and he's got a gun on the table and money and stuff, and the girl is there. It's very bizarre.
Very bizarre. He says she'll go to Harvard someday. Where's your friend? Tony's kind of fishing. Where's your friend, Valerie?
And now the tension really gets ratcheted up because now he sees this guy's emotional about.
Very emotional. He said, I'll do anything for him. He saved my life in Chechnya. He's
Closer
like
than
a brother to me.
Closer than a brother.
The alcohol, the drugs, he disgraces his family. It breaks my heart. Slava cries. Very emotional for a tough guy.
There's a picture of them together in the green, whatever, the military in Chechnya. Tony's laundering $200,000. Last time it was like even more. I think it was
$250.
They got big money.
Big money
together. Yeah.
They're lost in the woods. A phone rings. The guy you're looking for is some kind of ex-commando or some shit. He killed 16 Chechen rebels single-handedly. Paulie, not the brightest guy. Get the fuck out of here. He was with the Interior Ministry. Guy's some kind of Russian Green Beret. This guy cannot come back to tell a story. You understand?
So now the tension goes further, right? Because now Christopher and Paulie are, not only is he on the loose, he's really fucking dangerous. That's the great thing. I mean, it's the way that the way Terry wrote this one is just fucking.
You're not going to believe this. He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. Completely different altogether. Guy was an interior decorator. He wasn't with the Interior Ministry.
He is an interior decorator, and Christopher says his house looked like shit. They're trying, it's all. Now
they're looking for him again. This guy's like Rasputin, who was impossible to kill. Isn't that?
Well, they gave him cyanide, right? They gave him cookies, a cake with cyanide, but he was planning on that someone would try to poison him. So he would eat little bits of cyanide to build up immunity to it, apparently. So when they poisoned him, it had no effect. Then they shot him with a revolver several times. They stabbed him, and he still didn't die. He finally wound up drowning in the river. Yeah, he was a monk, had apparently spiritual healing powers, and he was working for the Tsar and the Tsarina, and they had a kid who was hemophiliac, so they thought that he could heal this kid. Very interesting character. His daughter, his family after the revolution wound up in America, and his daughter wound up being a circus performer.
Really?
In the United States, yeah. Rasputin's
Oh, she Rasputin the juggler?
I think she worked with like animals. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like in Ringling Brothers.
What years were this?
I think in like the 20s or 30s or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe later. I'm not really sure, but apparently she worked in the circus.
Paulie and Christopher, they're hearing twigs snapping. They run after it. Come on, he's running. They think he's in their sights. I think I got him. They shot a deer. If we were trying, we wouldn't have come even close. Paulie falls. He loses his shoe. They're chasing. They're shooting. They killed the deer by mistake.
And this is when the wings really start happening, right around now. They really start going.
This is when they asked him, pleaded with him to mess up the old Sirico wings. Meadow's dorm room. Meadow's lying in bed. She's calling. Jackie Jr. calls her. It's me. How you feeling? Like shit when you're coming over. A little possessive. What's he got to come over?
But
He's
he
sick.
lies all the fucking time.
Yeah. If this
And a
guy,
bad liar.
If he's breathing, he's lying.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And
the
bad
lies
lies.
just keep coming out of his mouth.
He's got to get his mother's car inspected. She's like, at night, well, my friend's a mechanic. He's just full of shit.
And she's suspicious. But his mother, Ro, believes all his lies.
Oh, yeah.
She believes. She's one of those. She's one of those mothers that are in denial. The kids
big
are
denial. Yeah.
They're in the woods getting nighttime.
Full moon, really freezing. Paulie's holding on to Christopher. They're limping. You know, there's something about it. It's like a classic comedy duo, like Laurel and Hart. You know, it has that kind of. Also, they said Waiting for Godot, that famous Samuel Beckett play about these two kind of guys. You know, it has kind of a classic comedic element to it, but seeing him hold on to Christopher, I always thought was kind of funny there, you know?
We're in Jersey. Christopher says, yeah, but South Jersey, which for people that don't know out there, these guys' home base is not just Jersey, it's North Jersey.
Which is close to New York City.
Closer to New York City, more urban, more city-like.
Yeah.
Newark, Belleville, it's more like a city as opposed to Southern Jersey, more like the suburbs,
Christopher wants to eat the berries, and Paulie tells him don't because they might be poisoned. They're getting really, really, really hungry.
And then Paulie sees, looks like a truck. It's a van. They get into the van, and my ears feel like they're going to fall off. Get me something for my foot now. This is true, which I just found out. The inside of the van you shot on a soundstage?
In Silver Cup, yeah. The interior stuff in the van was shot on the stage. Yeah.
That isn't. I had no idea. I am flabbergasted by that.
Yeah.
That makes it. You guys were freezing, so you had to play that. It looked so real, so natural. I mean, you guys were so good because I could swear.
Yeah, we shot that interior. I mean, Tony in that, right, when he gets in and he's freezing. I mean, it's very believable. It's really kind of
I did shaking. Not know that you guys were faking the cold.
And you have to constantly, it's a lot of work to play cold, actually.
I would have been sweating. They would have had
It's a lot. You got to really kind of commit to it. There's no. They even CGI'd the
cold breath.
The cold breath coming out of our mouth. Yeah.
You guys were great. Paulie's convinced, or is he, that he's fucking dead? That I don't know. That Paulie's starting to unravel. The wings are a mess.
He says, when Christopher's like, what if he's not dead? He killed 16 Czechoslovakians. He's trained for this shit. This is diehard shit.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're dealing with.
Soprano, the dinner table. Tony, Carmela, and AJ are eating dinner. I heard on the news it's supposed to snow again, Carmela says. Tony gives the joke, chili today, hot tamale. AJ says that his friend said he made that up.
Egon Cosmo. Yeah.
Now, Tony looks at his watch, and he's not very hungry. He's saving room.
And Carmela sees that he looks at his watch.
Yeah,
she notices.
And he's saving room. He says, I had a late lunch. He's not fooling her.
No, not at all.
She knows all the tricks by this. They've been together too long. Gloria house. Gloria's setting up the dinner table. Very nice. Candles, nice silverware, china. She's dressed very nicely.
She's going to a lot of effort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could be he's stalking us, Christopher says. And it could be him out there. Wait, what, his cock? Think about it, Chrissy. Even if he's alive, he's unarmed and bleeding. He's in the woods. He's in his pajamas. It's the fucking Yukon out there. They're trying to convince themselves that it's not him, that he's dead.
And then he finds the bag from Nathan's. Now, Nathan's
It's famous for hot dogs. Coney Island is the original Nathan's, right? That's where they have the hot dog eating contest, 4th of July every year. But that was they're famous for their hot dogs.
And then there's franchises out there now.
There was one up in Yonkers, Central Avenue, and they had a big arcade. We used to go when I was a kid too. That was But you remember in the cartoons, great hot dogs. Nathan's hot dogs are great. But you remember the cartoons like Popeye, and they'd be deserted on an island, and they had no food, and then they start looking at each other, and one turns into a hot dog, and one turns into a ham. That's what this reminded me of. I'm wondering if that's what they're getting at with the ketchup and the relish.
It's very funny, absolutely. If you come to New York City, anybody, you got to go to Coney Island. You got to get a Nathan's hot dog and some fries. You know, when I was younger,
good fries, Nathan's.
Yeah, they don't serve it anymore. They used to have a chow mein sandwich on a hamburger bun. Chow mein.
What's chow mein?
What do you mean, chow mein?
Oh, chow mein.
What the fuck? You going to start?
I thought you said charmaine.
Making fun of my accent now?
I thought you said charmaine, not chow mein.
Chow mein.
Chow mein sandwich?
CHOWMEIN. 2 words.
A sandwich?
A sandwich on a hamburger bun. Yeah.
Nathan's?
Nathan's. Look it up.
Sounds horrible. Was it good?
Fantastic. They had it for years and years and years, and then they stopped. They still serve frog legs, which I don't eat.
At Coney Island, they serve frog?
Coney Island, frog legs.
Their fries are great. Those crinkle fries, they're great, really good.
Do you eat frog legs?
No, that sounds... I can't imagine anything more disgusting than frog legs. Anything reptilian, I don't want to eat.
Hey, you're a big French guy. That's what they eat. You like French food. They eat frog legs.
Never had them. You had them?
No.
Reptiles are not... Never will.
I don't eat any of that. I'm not into rabbit. I'm not into anything.
I don't think Italians eat reptiles, do they?
I don't know, man. Somebody was eating frog legs. They're still serving them. Soprano House. AJ walks in with Carmela's parents. Mary, this is a hilarious scene. 3 hours at the eye doctor. Glaucoma. I might need an operation. You know, he's almost, as tragic as it is, he's proud to say it. They love complaining. You know,
they want the sympathy. Now people got to give them attention. Of course.
Paulie calls, listen, Tone, we've really lost it. We've been walking around for hours. We found some old truck. Your nephew, sometimes he doesn't think before he acts. It's all I'm going to say. He's starting to pin it on Christopher.
He's going to throw Christopher under the bus. Tony doesn't know what he's talking about because the reception's bad. We found a truck. I lost my shoe. He doesn't know what's going on. And now the other problem is he can't leave because the father-in-law is there, and the father just said he's got glaucoma. He's got to have coffee. And Carmela knows that he wants to leave, and she's like, you're having coffee, right? My father has glaucoma. As if those two things somehow go together.
And they're all staring at him. It's hilarious. He has no chance to leave whatsoever. And you know what else? You want something to eat. You know, it's always that. With Italians especially, right?
You gotta have some.
Eat when you're happy, eat when you're sad. Bad news, let's eat. Good news, let's eat. A funeral, let's eat. Somebody got married, we'll celebrate, let's eat. There's no wrong time to eat at all.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
But she says, who can eat at a time like this? I'll put on the coffee. That's another thing. The coffee is
coffee, always.
The coffee, and then she has cake in there somewhere.
You always have
crumb cake. There's cake for company.
We had the Entenmann's crumb cake, which is a good one. Have you had that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was always a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then Drake's used to have the little
the Drake's coffee cake.
If you can find it, yeah. But, you know, Sebastian Maniscalco, the comic, he does a whole bit on you can't eat the cake. It was for company. When company comes over.
That's true.
The Entenmann's, it was there. You couldn't eat that. It's very funny.
It's for company.
Yeah.
That is true.
You know, Paulie, he says, Tony questions him. He says, all I'm going to say, you know, your nephew, sometimes he doesn't think before he acts. And Tony says, I thought the guy sucker punched you. So Tony's a little leery there. Paulie kind of tripped on his dick a little bit there, you know?
That's right.
Bad connection once again. She says, "Oh, the language." Mary doesn't like the language. He's very Meadow's dorm room. Meadow calls Jackie, gets his voicemail. It's me again. You said you were going to call. Where the hell are you?
Now she asked her classmate Ambujam, played by Deepa Purohit. I think that's how you pronounce it, Purohit, who is married to Sanjit De Silva, who played Muhammad Mo, your producer on Up All Night with Uncle Frank. Remember your producer?
Oh, I didn't know
Muhammad.
that.
She's married to Sanjit. Yes.
She's great. She's got some great lines.
Really
here.
good. And
very
he was great.
subtle.
He played your
great
guy in the show.
Great.
Yeah.
This is very she's very subtle, but she's got a couple of really funny lines here that made me laugh. Gloria's house. Tony arrives. If I wanted to, she's sitting there. She's drinking wine. She's smoking.
3 hours late.
She's on smoke. She must have smoked a half a pack of cigarettes.
So it's midnight.
If I wanted to be treated like shit, I get married. I'm sorry, something came up, family shit, couldn't be avoided. I'll make it up to you. Come on, let's go. We'll go anywhere you want. Where? Go to fucking go to Nathan's. They're open.
That's true.
They're
It's
open late. Where you going?
Go?
You know. But once again, like you've always said, he always tries to buy his way out of everything. Come on, whatever you want. You know.
And she also somehow thrives on being in this position. You know what I mean? There's something about, she's almost setting it up in a weird way.
Dinner is ruined. Come on, I'll take you out, Gloria. You're an inconsiderate prick. Of course, then he starts sweet talking her, and they make up. I assume they had sex. Christopher tries to make a fire.
He's doing it to light his cigarette. He's not, he's not doing it for warmth. He needs to light that because he's got the cigarette in his mouth. He needs to light that cigarette.
Do we know anyone that's ever rubbed two sticks together and got a fire?
Well, certainly Christopher doesn't do it. But if you're a smoker, I remember one time we were flying to Vegas, and I was with Vince Curtol, and we were both big smokers at the time, and we sat on the runway. It was delayed taking off. Then it was delayed in the air. And we were dying for a cig. I mean, by the time, we must have been, now you're talking like 8-9 hours or something. And it's like, you're dying because the nicotine is a drug and you need it. And you're just angry. You're cranky. You feel like shit. It's serious, man.
So since you stopped smoking, that's why you stayed that way permanently.
Stayed which way?
Of course, you're angry, you're mean.
Why am I angry?
Sometimes you're angry and mad on this podcast.
And you're never angry.
Listen, I just do my job. I'm reporting what I see.
Yeah, that's all. It's your job.
Christopher tries to make a fire. I've never seen anyone. I'm sure it's
the Boy Scouts. They do it.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I'm sure it could be done. Christopher, you shouldn't have hit the guy. I shouldn't have even been there. Fucking insult. He gives me this shit, your uncle. You have to hear him on the phone talking to me like a child. You have any idea the amount of money I've made for him over the years or his old man before?
All right. He's really resentful.
And now I have to hear about that cocksucker Ralphie. He's jealous of Ralphie.
Ralphie makes a lot of money. Ralphie makes everybody a lot of money. Yeah.
Give me your shoes. I could go get help. You're not leaving me here. He's calling Tony. You're going to piss him off, Paulie. Paulie's complaining. And I believe I do believe if Christopher gave him the shoes, Paulie would leave and not come back.
Yeah, and what Christopher's worried about pissing off Tony. It's like they're out in the fucking woods. It's nighttime. They're gonna die. I love my favorite line. We should have stopped at Roy Rogers. I should have fucked Dale Evans, and I did. Roy Rogers was a cowboy, cowboy rope tricks, and Dale Evans was his wife, and starred in the movies with him.
Yeah,
it's a hilarious line.
Do you think Paulie would have ran off and left Christopher
I
for
would
that?
not be surprised. I mean, Paulie's
He's a selfish prick.
He's selfish. He's throwing him under the bus with Tony. And, then they talk on the phone to Tony, and he tells him, exit 12 in Pikes Hollow. We're freezing. We're starving. Christopher's bleeding. We're going to die. And Tony is, he says, he acts, what does he say? Paulie says he's living like a king, all the money I made. And then you see Tony wearing the
Beautiful
robe,
fireplace,
the wine, and they're out in the fucking woods dying.
Fireplace, beautiful fireplace, nice cozy atmosphere. He just had sex. He's waiting for dinner. He's in his robe, Moroccan
and now
robe.
He's got to tell her he's leaving. So talk about tension.
Tony, when he calls, he says, put my nephew on the phone. I think that's what convinces him to finally go and get help. Because Christopher says, my head hurts. I think I got a concussion. I think that's when Tony is worried about Christopher.
He realizes it's serious. It's not
that
just...
It's serious. What do you think? She says, where you going? Dinner's not ready. What am I, a fucking whore? You come over here, you fuck me. She throws the steak at him, big London brawl, hits him in the back of the neck. I guess they tried over and over. The prop guys tried. I guess Annabella tried. Finally, Buscemi.
He threw the steak. And that's based on Terry Winter said a girlfriend of his once threw a steak at him. But apparently also Annabella heard from fans after this incident who said, when you threw that steak and hit Tony with it, you threw it for all womankind, basically. People, really? She got a lot of great responses from women who felt, she stood up to Tony in a positive way, they considered.
I tell you what's great. Then she smashes the vase, pulls the tablecloth out, and smashes everything. It's a quick 1, 2, 3. She's great.
It reminded me of Talia Shire in The Godfather when she starts breaking everything in the house when he's going off to his girlfriend. It reminded me a lot of that moment there.
Oh, it was great. Annabella was so great. She was great, and we've talked about it over and over, but so great in this scene, as so many. Abidjan's car, Meadow, they wait on the street outside the apartment. I don't know. He's cheating on me. I know he's cheating on me. I can hear it in his voice. Car inspection, she says, is bullshit. What if it's not, though? Maybe we should go. Meadow's trying to convince herself that, he's not cheating on her. And her friend says it's bullshit,
Which it is.
Yeah.
Which it
Junior's
definitely
house. Junior's in the kitchen. He's making tea. Sorry, I had to wake you. Chemo, I'm awake.
He doesn't
throw it up half the night anyway. Did you call Bobby? He's on his way. And, of course, a great line. What are you eating? Steak? Dominic, just great.
Now,
so we shot this at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. This is
starting the day or ending the day?
Starting the day. The day before, we were in the Pine Barrens.
So this is the first scene up in the morning.
We came home. We finished the Pine Barrens. I remember us finishing it in the afternoon, like late afternoon, driving back to the city, and the next day at work shooting that scene.
So now, out of all the people Tony could call, he wants Bacala with him.
Well, I think. Well, I think he called upon Bobby because he knows Bobby is a avid outdoorsman. I think he's...
I guess he does know. He does. Silvio's sick. He's not an outdoors guy, obviously.
Yeah.
Now, are you an outdoors guy? Were you a hunter? Have you done that kind of thing?
I would never kill anything.
Fisherman?
I'm not a fisherman, but I've gone fishing.
I went hunting once when I was a kid. My uncle took me hunting, and we were in some fields. We had shotguns, and we were trying to shoot rabbits. So you don't see the rabbits, you see the grass because it's high grass. You see the grass kind of moving and splitting, and we couldn't shoot the rabbits. So we started just shooting birds in the sky. I mean, it was ridiculous with these shotguns shooting birds. They're just exploding, and it was. I never wanted to do it again after that. It was not my thing.
I think I would feel so terrible. Like if I went and killed a deer and I saw it laying there, I would feel just terrible, especially for sport. I guess if people do it and they eat the food.
If you're starving.
Maybe.
And it's survival, and they eat.
Yeah, but how many people are shooting deers for survival?
Listen, I'm just saying, maybe
Probably
something.
none of them.
Listen, me personally, it's not my thing to kill a rabbit. My daughter's got a rabbit. His name is Paul. He's in the other room.
Why is it Paul? Why is he named Paul?
She adopted him. His name was Paul. I don't know. But I wouldn't kill. It's not my thing. I mean, fishing's one thing, but
why is fishing one thing? Fishing's okay?
Fishing's okay.
Why?
Because people eat the fish.
They don't have feelings?
I don't know if they do.
Sure
How
they
do I
do.
know?
Of course
Really?
they do. What do you mean? They're alive.
What fish cry? Fish get sick?
They're alive. What do
So
you
when
mean?
they're
Of course they
swimming,
do.
and
When-
they're swimming, two of them, and a hook comes down and gets one of them, the other one's crying?
When you see a fish on the hook, that fish don't look so happy to be on that fucking hook. They're struggling with their last breath to get off it and get back in the water. What do you
Their
mean?
eyes look the same to me. They're dead eyes either way.
No, they're not dead on there. They're struggling to get off there. You don't think they
Listen.
suffer when they're hanging on the hook?
I think I don't fish, but I have gone fishing. I've never gone hunting, nor will I. I think it's a whole different ball game between fish
So you don't think fish suffer?
and
Is
deer.
that what you're saying? Or you say they do suffer, but it's okay?
I don't know if they suffer.
It's obvious they suffer.
I never heard them crying except for
When
a
you
lobster.
take a fish out of the water, does it look happy and comfortable, or is it flopping around trying to get back in the water?
Maybe he's flopping in joy. I mean, maybe he's
Oh,
tired
yeah.
of the water.
So
maybe he
if-
goes, fucking get me out of this water, goddammit.
No, it's
I'm
suffocating.
soaking wet. My fingers are pruned. What the fuck? I've been in this water for 6 years. Get me out of here.
No, that's not. Look at what about dolphins? Dolphins are smarter than humans. You know that, right?
No, he's not smarter than me.
They're smarter than humans.
It's not smarter than me.
They communicate telepathically, and they're smarter than human beings.
I don't think a dolphin is smart. I'll take an
100%.
IQ. I'll take an IQ.
You know what
test
else is
against-
smarter than humans? They say squids. They said squids also, their DNA is unlike anything else on the planet. They think squids might have come from like a meteor from outer space, their genetic material, and landed here.
What do you do? Are you doing this to fucking
I'm
drive
telling
me
you.
crazy? I
Well,
mean,
we're going to get into the Jersey Devil.
do you
That's coming up,
do
too.
you hear yourself? Octopus from outer space? Do you
They
hear
don't-
what you're saying?
The squid is unlike any DNA on the planet, and they think
Okay.
it may have come in frozen form from like a asteroid, frozen
Okay.
from outer space, and come
All right.
here.
I'm going to say publicly to our 200,000 plus listeners, I am smarter than a dolphin. I'm certainly smarter than a squid.
Would
I'm
you be
gonna
willing
put out-
to? Would you be willing to go up against a dolphin in an IQ test?
Yes, I would.
Because Andy, can we organize
The only thing that I'm not, you know what I'm not,
dolphin.
you know what I'm not smarter than? That chicken that used to be in Chinatown that plays tic-tac-toe.
He's still there, isn't he?
I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore.
Why not?
Animal cruelty.
Why?
I don't think so. I haven't been there, but that chicken has beat me at tic-tac-toe.
That chicken was amazing. Yeah,
That
I
chicken
remember the
is
chicken.
smart.
That's across from Hop Key.
The chicken is smart. Now he's hanging in the window. Here we are with Junior's house.
Wait, so it's animal cruelty to have the chicken playing tic-tac-toe, but in the window, all you see are ducks, dead ducks hanging all over fucking Chinatown. That's okay.
I'm just saying. Listen, I don't know. I
That's
hear
hilarious.
you.
All right.
I don't like the ducks. I don't eat the ducks.
So now you show up dressed, ready. You're ready for anything. You're ready for the
Now when
woods?
we did that, there was 6 outfits Julia Polska, the costume designer, brought to me. Different vests, different gloves, different hats. We chose that. She took pictures. I took a long time. I got dressed in all of them. He's got mittens, which I thought was a good touch. He's got the mittens that you could pull down and has the fingers, but it comes in with mittens.
So you could shoot, right?
Yeah, it comes in with mittens. Of course, I've told the story 100 times. Jim said, "How you going to make me laugh tomorrow?" Because He obviously had seen me in the woods already. We shot out of sequence, and we shot the
You shot it being in the woods, coming to rescue us.
in the outfit. So I asked, like we talked about, I asked for a dildo, strapped it on.
Wait, did you ask for a dildo or did you ask for something funny and they gave you a dildo?
I asked for something, and then I was looking around the truck, and I saw all these dildos hanging, different kinds, different sizes.
Didn't you wear a wig too?
I had a Rastafarian wig.
Rastafarian wig.
Yeah.
That was your own that you brought from home.
I always wear it. I usually wear it when I go out to and from work. You know me. So I had a Rastafarian wig, and I had that. And that's the first take you see Jim laughing. I did it a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different dildos. You almost could see Uncle Junior crack a smile.
Yeah, he is.
You could almost see him crack, because I told no one. Like I told Steve Buscemi earlier, no one knew except for the prop guy. So that's what you see there.
And Bobby's hurt by that, by the laughter. He doesn't, he's very insulted.
Well, he gets up, it's probably 3 a.m. or plus. He gets up, puts on his outfit, he's going to help, and he's made fun of.
And now he's ridiculed.
He's laughing at the outfit.
He says he has his limits, Junior.
He's ridiculed.
Very sensitive. Again. Bobby's very sensitive.
Yes, he is, as he should be.
Why? Why should he be?
Because they make fun of his weight. They call him fat jokes, constantly ridiculed about his fatness, his outfits, constantly. Well, way before calzone with legs, you should consider eating salads. Must we go on?
No, you're right. When you're right, you're right.
Meadow and her friend wait outside the apartment.
And Jackie comes out.
Amber Jam. What's it, Amber Jam?
Amber Jam, I think.
Amber Jam says, be strong. Jackie comes out with another girl. Meadow got
Rita, that's played by Dana Gizzo. Yeah.
Says, I can't believe you did this to me. I can't believe you did this to me. What are you doing here? He says, I loved you. Don't ever call me again. They get in the car. Amber Jim says, fuck you, bitch. I mean, here's this little Indian girl who seems as innocent as can be, and it just made me laugh. Very subtle.
She's an ally. She's standing up for her friend.
Absolutely. And, of course, Rita seems tough. She seems like
she's a tough Jersey chick.
Belleville, Jersey girl. You know, fuck you, bitch. He says, what's wrong with you? It's Tony Soprano's daughter. She doesn't care. She leaves. Tony's car. Now, we shot this in the studio.
In the car, and they would shake, poor man's process, they called. They shake the car with some planks.
Shaking the car. We were driving. They got the fake lights in the back.
Yeah.
You would never know. It looks very, very real. Tony and Bobby, they're driving to get Paulie and Christopher. And he tells a bad joke. Me and my father used to come here every year. When we saw a sign, Bear left, we went home. No response. But, you know, he says, Tony says, I appreciate you helping my uncle.
Tony apologizes for laughing, first of all.
And also, I think this is where Tony and Bobby bond.
Yeah.
For this, don't forget, the first time you see Bobby, Tony threatens to kill him. Says he's going to fight.
At that time, Tony and Junior are really kind of on the outs, right? During that period.
Correct. Yeah. He says, you listen, I don't know if you can understand this, but listen to me. He reads him the whole list. The famous quote, to the victor belongs the spoils. You're going to find your body in, 9 different dumpsters or whatever it is. And I think for the first time, he tells him, Junior talks about him all the time. Junior really cares for him. Bobby says, I wish he was my uncle sometimes. This is the first time they bond.
I wish he was my uncle. I love that line. That's very...
Why? Hey, all Junior does is break his balls.
Break his balls all the time. Yeah.
Christopher, where the fuck is he? What else? He finds Paulie eating Tic Tacs. I just found them. You selfish prick. I'm dying here. I'm gonna go eat those berries. I'm telling you, they're poison. I don't give a shit. At least I'll die hungry.
I'm going to give you a little history about the Pine Barrens. Now, the Pine Barrens is an area of South Jersey. It's these wooded areas. There's a lot of folklore about the Pine Barrens. They were gangs of highwaymen, which were thieves, and they would rob travelers way back after the Revolutionary War. A lot of these guys were loyalists to the British that remained in the U.S. after the war, and they were outcasts. 1700s, 1800s, the residents of the Pine Barrens were outcast people like fugitives, criminals, moonshiners, soldiers who deserted the army, runaway slaves. There also is a very haunted place. The ghost of Captain Kidd. There's a rumor that there's a treasure of Captain Kidd that's buried in the Pine Barrens. There's the ghost of the Black Doctor, who would help lost and injured travelers. There's the ghost of the Black Dog, that was harmless, apparently. The ghost of the White Stag, the ghost of the golden-haired girl, all in the Pine Barrens. And then there's the legendary Jersey Devil, which was seen with Captain Kidd several times. The Jersey Devil looked like a kangaroo with the head of a horse, the wings of a bat, hooves, and a forked tail, and had this blood-curdling scream. Rumor has it the Jersey Devil was Mother Leeds' 13th child. She cursed the fact that she had a 13th kid, and apparently in 1735, she was a witch, and she had a kid with Satan. And it was this Jersey Devil came out, this half kangaroo, half horse, half bat, whatever the hell it was. Newspaper accounts of sightings of the Jersey Devil go back to the 1800s. Commodore Stephen Decatur, U.S. Navy Commodore in War 1812, he saw the Jersey Devil. Napoleon's brother Joseph had an estate in Bordentown, New Jersey in 1820. He saw the Jersey Devil on a hunting trip. There were livestock killings in 1840. There was a farmer in Greenwich, New Jersey, who shot this creature trying to steal chickens, took a picture. Nobody could ID what this creature was in the picture. 1937, Downingtown, Pennsylvania. 1951, Gibbstown, New Jersey. And 1960, all sightings of the Jersey Devil. A $10,000 reward was made for the Jersey Devil. And ultimately, the hockey team were named after this Jersey Devil. They still have not, apparently, the Jersey Devil is still alive in the Pine Barrens.
And do you believe in the Jersey Devil?
100%. 100%. Even more than Bigfoot.
I know that you haven't been drinking in months. You don't smoke weed. What's going on? Is there something wrong?
Listen.
Tell me.
Why would they name the hockey team after something that doesn't exist? Tell me that.
So what is a Nick? What is a Knickerbocker?
Knickerbocker were New Yorkers. It was another name for New Yorkers.
So you're saying every team's name means something? Come on, what are we talking about?
The Jersey Devil.
Okay, listen.
The real thing. This farmer had a picture of it. So I haven't seen the picture, but apparently...
You don't believe in ghosts. You believe in the ghost, the dog?
Well, it's haunted. There's ghosts. Listen, Napoleon's brother saw the Jersey Devil, wrote about it.
So fuck Napoleon. What do I care? I believe Napoleon?
Napoleon's brother. His brother Joe.
I believe
his older
his brother. He might have been the black sheep of the family. What does that mean?
Steve, so many people have seen this Jersey Devil.
When's the last time somebody saw it?
Well, there have been, up until, I think recently. I think maybe
I don't believe any of it. The kangaroo head. I don't believe anything.
Horse head, kangaroo body.
I don't. It's so ridiculous. I don't believe that. I don't believe the octopus story.
You're a skeptic. You're a
You
real
better
skeptic.
believe I'm a
You're
skeptic.
If
I think this is nonsense. The New Jersey Devils is one thing. It's the name of a hockey team. Terrific.
They're not going to name the hockey team out of something that doesn't exist. That would be stupid, right?
Really? Well, there's got to be. Andy, is there a name of a pro sports team that doesn't exist?
Buccaneers. They were pirates. That's real.
I'm just asking.
Vikings.
Got to be
they
something.
were the Viking. Come on, man.
A jet? The Jets?
An airplane.
Man, I don't know what's going on with you. There's something wrong.
You're so skeptical. You don't want to open your mind to. There's more to meets the eye. More things in heaven than earth than meets the eye.
There's something not right with you. Okay, Christopher's taking a piss outside the truck. Do it by your own window. I don't want us to smell your piss. Fuck you. What you say? I'm a captain. Captain and no captain. Right now, we're just two assholes lost in the woods.
Yeah,
Classic.
Christopher don't give a shit anymore either.
No shitty. Do yourself a favor, Chrissy. Get back and go back to sleep. Why? So you could choke me? I heard you on the phone trying to blame this on me. Christopher heard.
He heard.
Paulie gets out of the truck. He starts choking Christopher. Pulls a gun and he puts it at Paulie's neck and he laughs hysterically, manically, crazily. Was that in the script or was that a choice?
I don't remember. Yeah. I think it's probably in the script. They're losing it. They're getting delirious. They haven't eaten. They're scared.
Absolutely. I just didn't know if, I just didn't know if that was a choice you made. I mean, it's an incredible, it shows what's happening. They're unraveling.
They're way unraveled. Yeah. It's pretty
Tony's truck, the honk of the horn. This is something I don't get. Tony's the honk of the horn. Bobby and Tony pull up. It was, it's like, it's 100 and like, I mean, it's like less than 10 degrees out. I remember
it's
being
cold, man.
so cold I can't even move my mouth to say the lines, honestly.
Yeah, it's
what do you think we should do? There's nothing we can do. Let's wait till morning. Why don't they shoot the gun then?
because they don't want to. They didn't want to find them till the morning in the script. Maybe I don't know. That's a good point. Yeah.
I just thought, why doesn't they?
Why
do
didn't
it
they
then?
honk the horn then? Right.
Well, they did honk the. They're screaming. He's screaming. Yeah, he's screaming anyway. But he didn't shoot the gun. I thought they would have shot it then. They were at the.
Well, they don't shoot the gun till they hear the gun.
Correct.
So maybe they just think that's not a good idea. The horn's enough.
Also, maybe Valerie's still alive.
Valerie's still alive, and they're worried about that. That's
the health center. Meadows getting a temperature check, 101. Caitlin walks in. It's over. He was cheating on me. We drove out to Jersey, and I caught them together. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have pressured him. You're better off without him.
She's blaming herself for him cheating. I shouldn't have pressured him, and she's blaming herself. Horrible.
He was a drip. He was boring but cute, Caitlin says. And Meadows' friend says she was a real hooer, too.
She was a real hooer,
yeah. You don't know what it was like growing up where we did. Really? Really? In big houses with private schools
right.
and everything you want. What are you, brand new cars? What are you talking about?
He is a drip, and he's not for her, and she's in denial. She's, I don't know.
Well, she's also young. It's her first time away from school. She broke up with the other kid. He kind of dinged her, He did, and now here's this guy. Paulie and Christopher get out of the truck. They start walking. Which way? What do you think? Don't matter to me. I ain't stopping until we hit cement. They talk about Denny's.
Paulie's making shoes out of rags, which is hilarious. Christopher's wearing the carpet, which is funny because Valerie was wrapped in a carpet. Now Christopher's wearing a carpet.
It falls off his shoe, his makeshift shoe, which Christopher called a Bruno Magli, which is the shoe that OJ got caught in, right?
That's right.
Right. Tony snaps. Christopher. Excuse me. Paulie snaps. He starts shooting the gun. The carpet falls off. He can't take it anymore.
He starts shooting the shoe that he made, right?
He's got to be freezing. They're walking in the woods. Bobby's telling Tony, which I guess is bullshit, the Jackson Whites, they were albinos.
That's another thing from the Pine Barrens. They are albino. That is true. I didn't get to that. The Jackson Whites were an albino family that lived in the Pine Barrens. That's another group up in the mountains or something like that.
Did Johnny Winter live there too? No. Johnny Winter and his brother?
No, he wasn't part of that.
No. Bobby, they hear the gun, Paulie's gun. Bobby shoots the shotgun. They go in. I remember running. It was hard to run. I have the fat suit on.
I've got all that. It's fucking hard to run in the snow.
I had the fat suit on. I have the boots on, all that stuff.
The vest, yeah.
The only good thing about the fat suit there was it kept me warm.
Kept you warm, there you go.
They all meet. Tony, Paulie, Christopher get into Tony's car.
Tony asks Paulie, what were you shooting at? And he says, never mind. All night in this fucking hellhole.
Bobby says, you guys look like shit. Chris, he asks, Tony asks him a question about Paulie because the car is missing. Where's the money? The money was in the car.
And what do you think happened to the car?
Maybe the Russian.
Well, here's the thing. They were going to have the Russian come back in the last season, and they came up with a storyline that the Boy Scouts find Valerie in the woods, unconscious. They find a phone number in his pocket, which is Slava's phone number. They call Slava. He has to get brain surgery, and he's brain damaged. And they were going to write a scene where Christopher and Tony go to Slava's, and Valerie is sweeping up, and he's brain damaged, and he doesn't recognize Christopher. And they were going to use that scene, and then eventually David decided he didn't want to do any closure with Valerie.
Yeah, I think it would have been too much. The two most asked questions, I think, what happened to the ending? Is Tony alive? And where's the Russian?
Where's the Russian? Those are the two big questions, yeah.
Big question.
100%. I get asked those two things more than anything. You're right.
Yeah. No one's ever asked me about the Jersey bullshit devil.
Well, they will now that we've brought it up. We let the cat out of the bag. Andy, work on that Steve versus the Dolphin IQ test.
Let's go.
I really want to do that.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do it in a tank because the Dolphin can't survive outside.
You're saying that I'm a college graduate. I'm not the smartest guy in the world by any means.
I'm not saying just you, anybody. Okay. But you want to go up against him. Anybody goes against that Dolphin, they're going to lose.
Yeah. You and the squid. You're telling me a squid from outer space is smarter than me. Well, listen to what you're saying.
It's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to get the squid to do the test than it will the dolphin. So let's try it with the dolphin first. You're going to have to go in a tank with the dolphin.
California air. There's something going on with you.
Not air. This is reality. Wake up to the real world, buddy.
There's something going on with you.
I can't put my finger on. Believe me. You want to live. You want to live with blinders on, this sheltered existence. Where everything's what it is in front of you. You believe everything you read.
No, I know. But this New Jersey devil, Napoleon's brother, this is all bullshit.
This is hundreds of years of sightings and accounts and discussion about this. What, it's just out of nowhere? People just making stuff up, the same story?
Yeah.
They see the same thing over and over again, making it up? Come on.
Yeah, complete bullshit.
Wake up. Wake up.
He says, you got the money. That's all I asked you to do, Paulie. I'm sorry, T. It couldn't be helped. The guy fucking lunged at us. Tony looks at Christopher. Christopher kind of shrugs.
Chris and Paulie kind of bond there and just say, all right, we're gonna stick to the same story.
And then Tony says, you're gonna take the heat, you're gonna pay the price. What do you want to do? Do you want to go after this guy? Do we got him?
You're a captain. Yes. What do you want to do?
He asked Bobby. Bobby gives some mumbo jumbo answer. Flesh wound in the head. His answer is worthless. And they're eating sandwiches. Christopher's smoking a cigarette. There's no blankets. The heat's on. They drive home. Once again, Tony, you got mayonnaise on your chin.
And this really pisses him off for some
reason. Mayonnaise. It's not the first time there's been mayonnaise references. We've talked about them.
That's right.
In past episodes, a lot of Italians don't like mayonnaise. You know that. I don't know what it is. I like mayonnaise. Do you?
On certain things.
Like?
Well, a turkey sandwich, you want to have mayonnaise, right?
So never mayonnaise on salami.
Oh, no, that's disgusting.
Never. But people do that on ham, but no prosciutto.
No, never prosciutto. That's
no prosciutto, no salami, no provolone, no mayonnaise on tuna. Tuna's good.
Tuna's good. And turkey.
Mayo, turkey, American cheese sandwich. mayo, and all that kind of stuff. You know what's not bad? A fried egg sandwich on a bagel with mayo.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
Egg with mayo on a bagel.
Oh.
Try it. Do you not eat eggs? Do they have feelings too? The fucking eggs?
Eggs don't have feelings. No, they're not sentient beings, Steve. They don't care. They're not.
Try it. Do you put ketchup on your eggs?
Never. Ever.
You use ketchup?
Not on eggs. If I have eggs with potatoes, I put the ketchup only on the potatoes, never the eggs. They can't touch the eggs.
What about the French fries? And they have like the different kind of dips.
French fries with mayo. That's a Belgian thing. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Yeah. So we agree on something.
I guess so.
Melfi's office. Why is everything got to be so hard? I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do the right thing by my family. Doesn't that count for anything? I kind of feel bad for him here. I feel bad for him in a way.
You do, really?
Everything is so fucking hard. Don't you ever feel that way? Nothing's easy. Every fucking thing. It's like pushing a goddamn rock up a hill all the goddamn time.
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know? 1 minute Gloria's on fire, then she's a lunatic. Something's fucked up. She says he's attracted to women like his mother.
Melfi's almost got like an "I told you so" attitude.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, she's a little bit excited by, a little bit like kind of satisfied by this, I think,
The depressive personality, unstable, impossible to please. Not unlike yourself.
You mean Tony? What are you talking? Are you talking about me?
You.
I'm hard to please.
Yeah, unstable. You showed that today. You've become impossible to please.
What are you talking about?
Since we started doing this.
Oh, come on. Listen. You don't want to see the truth. That's up to you. But my eyes are open, my friend. They've been open a long time. I know what's going on. I know what time it is. In the words of Flavor Flav.
The big clock. You're gonna wear that clock?
I'm gonna start wearing that clock.
Listen, it is a great episode.
The song at the end, Sposa son disprezzata, which is I am a wife and I'm scorned, faithful yet insulted, yet he is my only hope. That's Carmela. That could be Meadow. That could be Gloria too.
I got to tell you, you were nominated for an Emmy for this season, weren't you?
Season 3, yes. I think that
nominated.
was the first year I was nominated.
Fantastic. I'll be honest. Tony also. Sirico should have been nominated for an Emmy. I honestly believe that.
Did Steve get nominated or Terry for the directing and writing? I think so. Yeah, they were nominated.
I think so for sure. It is. Now that I watched it twice, first time in many, many years, I was happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and, it's like a little movie, right? It's like its own little thing. Yeah,
you were great, and it is a fine hour of television, that's for sure. All right, now it's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of AMA, best question, is Matt from Marlboro, New York, and we're sending Matt a pair of Bose headphones.
Matt asks, The Sopranos featured a ton of great cameo appearances. Lawrence Taylor, Frank Sinatra Jr. Who was your favorite cameo on the show? Who was yours?
That I worked with or just in general?
In both.
Well, I liked Annette Bening.
That was a good one. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Did you meet her? Were you there?
I did not.
No, neither did I.
They had the head coach of the Jets at the time. I don't know who that was. He was a nice guy.
Parcells?
No. The Jets. I don't know who it was.
Oh, Rex Ryan? No, Rex.
No.
Before that.
Rex Ryan lost all that weight. I'll tell you a quick Rex Ryan story. I met him at the Garden, right? Sunday afternoon game. He had got his stomach done, lost all that weight. Eric Mangini was the head coach of the Jets. He's in the scene. So I meet him, big Soprano fan. He's wearing, it's kind of bizarre, he's wearing a Nick warm-up jersey, like the pants and the top. So I meet him. He's with his wife, his assistant. blah, blah, blah. Very nice guy. We take pictures. He lost all this weight. I'm outside the garden. I'm in a cab, stopped at a red light. He's trying to get a cab. And he's right in front of me. I stick my head out the window. I went, where are you going? He says, downtown. I said, come on, get in. They get in. He says, I said, where you going? He's going to Benny's Burritos in the Village.
On Greenwich Avenue.
He says, nobody knows me there. So he's going to go have a sneaky burrito.
I like Benny's Burritos.
No one knows.
That's been there for a long time.
Benny's Burrito. He was very nice. Gave me his card. I said, I'm not a football fan. Come, be my guest. Come on the field. Tried to pay me for the cab. I said, I got it. Nice guy.
Nice guy.
I liked, I tell you what, I don't care for Frank Sinatra Jr. at all, but I think he did a good job as an actor.
He did a good job. Actually,
job.
one of my favorite cameos on the show was his sister, Nancy.
Oh, yeah. I
Nancy
enjoyed it.
Sinatra on the show was great. She was singing to Phil Leotardo. It was Phil Leotardo's Becoming a Boss ceremony.
That was great.
He was singing Big Boss Man. But hanging with Nancy Sinatra was really cool. I liked her.
I enjoyed her. She's great. Yeah. And we shot that at Ponte's, a famous Italian restaurant that's no longer there.
Downtown, yeah.
Apartment buildings. It was there for years. I also, Paul Mazursky.
That was one of my favorites. I was going to say that. He's such a great director and done so much good. Harry and Tonto is one of my favorite movies. Art Carney won the Oscar for that one.
And a good actor.
Paul's a good actor. Paul also directed Enemies, a Love Story, which is written by Isaac Bashevis Singer, my favorite novelist and short story writer. And he got to meet him and work with him. It's a really good movie. It was Ron Silver who's the star of that movie. Did a really good job. My other favorite cameo, of course, is Lauren Bacall.
Of course, yeah. And you enjoyed working with her.
I enjoyed working with her, but I actually knew her. I met her in Paris in the mid-'90s. She was doing a movie with Robert Altman, and my girlfriend at the time was in the movie. So I was in Paris for like 6 weeks. And I went to dinner with a lot of the cast would go out, and Lauren Bacall always had to sit between two guys, young guys. So very often I was one of the young guys that would sit next to Lauren.
Did she hit on you?
Not really, but she was great. She was just.
Now, let me ask you: if Lauren Bacall, said Mike slipped her key to you, and you weren't married at the time, you got to think she banged royalty in Hollywood, Humphrey Bogart, Frank Sinatra,
Jason Robards.
Would you have took a shot?
Yes.
You would have?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I get you. What's his name? What about David Lee Roth? Did you work with him?
No, I didn't. I like David Lee Roth a lot.
Yeah.
I like much better than Sammy Hagar. And Van Halen to me.
I like Sammy.
Van Halen is not Van Halen without David Lee Roth.
I like Sammy personally.
Yeah, but his music I don't like. I like David.
I don't. What about that pompous fuck you worked with, Sir
Ben Kingsley?
Yeah. What about that guy?
He was a lot of fun to work with, actually.
He was okay. Did you call him Sir Ben?
I did not. No, I mean he didn't demand that.
Hey, Benny, how you doing, Benny?
I did, and a couple of times. I mean, it was one scene we were doing in the elevator, and I was improvising. It was me and Lenny Veneto, and I remember I was improvising, and I'm like, "Here he is, Mr. Big Shot, Knight Sir Ben," and he was laughing. I was improvising in character. He was a very good sport. Everyone says, you got to call him Sir Ben. He doesn't demand that. Not Sir Kingsley, Sir Ben. That's how you do it. I don't know where that came from, that you have to call him Sir Ben. He didn't demand that of anybody. Listen, he was a good sport. He's playing himself being kind of an asshole, which is fun. You know what I mean? And he loved the show. He wanted to be on it. We shot it in Santa Monica at the Viceroy Hotel. It was a really good time.
What's his name?
A lot of fun.
We met Tom Jones.
Great. He wasn't on the show, though, was he?
No. But we didn't have to call him Sir Tom.
Is he Sir Tom?
I think he is.
No, he's not.
He was knighted.
No, he wasn't. He's not knighted.
Andy.
Sir Tom Jones was not knighted. No.
He was knighted.
They used to throw panties on him. They're not going to knight him.
Why not? So what's wrong with panties? We're going to start with the panties again. So
They're
what?
not going to knight anybody.
I believe.
Well, Tom's a good guy. Tom was, I did the last season of Californication. Californication had the best rap party I've ever been to. They did it in the sound stage, and they had like 20 food trucks for the crew. And then inside they had a stage. They had Tom Jones performed. He did Elvis songs. Marilyn Manson performed. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols performed. Don Felder from the Eagles did Hotel California. It was the best rap party I ever been to.
I think Tom Jones and Elvis were friendly.
Tom Jones is a great guy. I love him. And a great performer.
And a great performer. His show was great. We've talked about him before, but I think they were friends. I'm telling you, he's knighted. Tom Jones was knighted in 2006.
Wow. Well, I never hear anyone calling him Sir Tom.
Well,
ever.
Because he's not pompous.
Well, I'm going to start calling him Sir Tom. Next time I see him, I'm going to call him Sir Tom.
I'll tell you what, don't you dare, if you meet Elton John, you better call him Sir Elton or else.
I've never met Elton John, no. I've seen him play live, but I've never met him. Matt from Marlboro, New York, you got a good question. Thanks for the question.
Very good. And I got to tell you, great episode. And I enjoyed it, even though you were a little more bizarre than usual. But hey.
I didn't invent the fucking New Jersey Devil. I'm just reporting it. I did the research. I've heard about it forever. Call up the hockey team. They're gonna name the hockey team after the New Jersey Devil.
Well, maybe he'll do an autograph signing at one of the games. I'll go. Maybe the Devil will be
now
there.
You're being ridiculous. He's not going to go to the game.
Well, now what is it? A horse head and a kangaroo
he's a
body?
hockey fan.
Wait,
it's a creature, Steve. He's not going to go to a fucking hockey game.
Wait, it's a horse head.
It's a kangaroo body with a horse head, bat wings, hooves, and a forked tail with a blood-curdling scream. The Jersey Devil.
See, I'm going to have Andy just pull that quote out and put that on as a clip. I'm going to put that on. I'm going to frame what you just said. That's how ridiculous. Thanks for listening.
100%.
Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. And right now, you can get official Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel. We have hats. We've got the T-shirts. We've got
mugs,
great sweatshirts, mugs.
Hoodies. Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Our producer is Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Ty Verderam, Ciara Schirripa, and New York and NYC podcast. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
Is the Jersey Devil part of our production crew now?
Tune in next week to see if Steve is smarter than a dolphin.
I love you. See you next week.
Well,